knows where the guy is. So you've got Salvador Perez at 36 years old. You know, as if you're not a baseball fan, when you're a catcher, you typically won't catch the day game after a night game because it's a lot of wear and tear on your body, your knees, your back. So Salvador Perez, never mind being 36 years old, was expected to play DH. Basically, he was going to hit but not have to play in the field yesterday. But this guy, Carter Jensen, backup catcher, didn't show up to the ballpark. He slept through his alarm. So he got roasted. The Royals lost yesterday, but he got absolutely roasted by his teammates. Vinny Pasquantino, he just gave it to Carter Jensen, who's a 22-year-old young man. But here's what Vinny Pasquantino had to say after the game yesterday.
Yeah, you got a 36-year-old catcher who's preparing to DH today, and then his world gets a little rocked that an hour and a half before the game, he's not going to be DHing. So credit to Salvi today for being ready. First and foremost, we're glad Carter's okay, right? That was kind of the initial thought when you're trying to get a hold of his parents and everything like that to just make sure everything's okay. But once you find out he's okay, it's like, all right. It's a growing moment. He's really young. There are some things that cannot happen, and that's one of them. So he's going to have to wear it on the chin, same way anybody would have to. So it can't happen.
That's a great answer from Vinny Pasquantino. Great answer. The other night when Charlotte, our youngest, she's been going through a phase where she's just screaming and yelling and middle of the night, hooting and hollering, the whole thing, right? She just turned 2, so it's just a little phase. And it's made sleep difficult on and off this week. But I had some of the weirdest dreams. 2 nights ago, I had these dreams that I slept through the show. I showed up here at about 7:30, and John and Mark were totally unfazed. And I'm like, what have you guys been doing for an hour and a half? And they're like, oh, we were fine. We got something on the air. I'm like, no one called me. I just slept through my alarm. At least the Royals were calling up their teammate and his parents looking for the guy. I had this dream, and I'm like, do you guys not care that I'm not here? What's going on? I remember feeling insulted that I slept through my alarm in this dream, and John or Mark didn't bother to call me or text me. They were like, yeah, we're okay.
I would have called.
Thank you.
In real life.
That's very nice of you. I appreciate that. So Carter Jensen learned a story yesterday. He learned that he needs to be setting multiple alarms.
Making sure, if I don't set one alarm, maybe set 3, 4, as many as possible. So, from moving forward, that's what I'm going to do. Remember, I'm going to set a million alarms, make sure I'm up. So, it stinks, though.
That's a good idea, Carter. Set a couple alarms. How many alarms you guys got?
I only do one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1.
What? I got 4. You got 1. You guys each have 1 alarm?
Yeah. I think it was the second week I worked here, I set my alarm for PM instead of AM. I don't know if you even remember that.
No.
But I got here right at 6 o'clock because my brain woke me up. But I let you guys know, hey, I'm coming in late.
Oh, I did not know that. No, I don't remember that, Mark. So clearly we were unfazed by the whole thing.
Yeah, worked out.
Yeah, worked out fine. Now, I've got 3 alarms on my phone that go off, and then I have 1 on an Alexa device. So there's 2 different devices, 3 on one, 1 on the other, as a backup, just in case, God forbid, something happens to one of the devices, the other one will pick it up.
I've been doing this for a long time, and so it's actually was worse for me when I worked midnight to 6 and trying to sleep, because you try to have a social life, and then trying to make yourself go to sleep never works. Now I'll wake up Saturday at the time I wake up 2 or 3. I may be nodding off, but I'll get up by 4.
Yeah.
Just to enjoy not having to go to work.
Oh, that's great.
It was interesting. A video popped up from spring training where they asked each player how many alarms they set.
Really?
And Carter Jensen was the last one in the video, and he said 6 to 8 alarms.
Oh, he was lying.
He's like, yeah, I don't wake up to alarms, basically.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was kind of a bad look.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's terrible, man.
You don't wake up to alarm. You don't wake up to a phone either, right?
Yeah.
I got
Jeez.
radio late stories for you if we have time.
Oh, my gosh. We'll have time at some point. It's a Friday morning. We'll keep it light here on KCMO. That is brutal. Absolutely brutal for Carter Jensen. And let's be honest, what time did he have to be at the ballpark? Like 9 o'clock maybe?
That's what I was wondering, too. It's a 1:10 start.
Come on, dude. Maybe 9:30 or 10 o'clock? You slept, like, I get it. When you're 22, you can sleep. Although that was my first time doing early morning radio. I guess I was 20 or 21 doing early morning radio, interning at ESPN when I was at Villanova. And I did a morning shift, and I remember being scared to death that I was going to miss it, and also just waking up at, I think it was 5 o'clock, get in there by 6 and
Generally,
go.
that's what happens, I think. You're really uber focused.
And here's the thing. If you're going to make it to the major leagues, you have to be so dialed in, so focused for your entire life to sleep through the alarm. When, by the way, it's not like you weren't planning to play that day. That was your day. Like, that's when you're supposed to shine, man. What are you doing? Unbelievable. So Carter Jensen just getting absolutely roasted. The New York Post has this, by the way, as one of its top stories. Here's the New York Post website. Third story down at the New York Post website. MLB rookie removed from starting lineup after shocking oversight. The first line of the New York Post column here, you snooze, you lose. There you go. Ripping on Carter Jensen right here in Kansas City. Oh, man.
The Twins, Twitter or X, made a post last night around midnight and said, don't forget to set your alarms for tomorrow. See you bright and early because it's their home. They've been on the road the entire season, so it's their home opener. So they have like 10 alarms set.
Oh, that is so good. That is so good. You know what? Have some fun with it, man.
I told them it was bullying
Oh,
at MLB.
stop.
I tagged MLB. I said, this is bullying.
Mark, what do you want to be, a DEI coordinator? Come on,
No.
stop. Have some fun with it.
The
All
Twins
right?
stink.
Lighten up. Lighten up. Jeez.
I wonder if you'll hear about it when you go to Yankee Stadium or Fenway Park this year.
Yeah, you know, he might get some.
man.
He might get some when he goes over.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That is really funny. Wow. Well, what's not funny this morning is what's continuing to happen to gas prices. We are up to $112 a barrel this morning, as the numbers have been going up really since, guess it was the speech a couple of nights ago is when they spiked from $98 a barrel all the way up to $104 a barrel. And now we are up to $112 a barrel. But let me tell you something else that's bothering me here. I saw this story early this morning that airlines are now considering raising their checked bag fees. So maybe you were just coming from spring training. Maybe you were enjoying spring break. You were watching the Royals. Carter Jensen actually, was showing up back then. JetBlue is raising its checked bag fees at least $4. United also is increasing its bag fees for the first time in a couple of years. And the headlines always read, airline raises checked bag fees as fuel prices soar. And, I see it from CNBC. I see thehill.com, same headline. JetBlue raises checked baggage fees amid soaring fuel prices. And I'm like, hold on a second here. So are you telling me that if this war in Iran ends in the next month and prices go back down, they're going to lower their checked bag fees? Oh, so it's not really about oil prices. I mean, they'll say it is, but why is the media carrying the water of the oil companies? Or, excuse me, of the airline companies? Why are you doing that? They're raising their baggage fees. They're using oil prices as a convenient excuse to raise their bag fees. Okay, because they're also raising ticket prices to make up for fuel costs. So don't sit here and tell me that, we're raising our prices because of the war. Let's just use this as something else to, slap Trump around for. But the media, they want to make it all about Trump, right? Like that's their goal in everything. So if they can put the baggage fees at the feet of Donald Trump and the airline companies are doing it, knowing full well the media is going to play their game because they just want to, make Trump look bad, that's how you end up with these headlines. The reality is they're raising their baggage fees, and now is a time they can do it to conveniently try to make more money while blaming the war. If oil goes back down to $70 a barrel, do you think that JetBlue or United or any of them are going to have headlines reading, we're lowering our baggage fees because oil prices are down? No, they're not going to do that. Of course they're not going to do that. And I'm not saying they can't raise their baggage fees, although doing anything right now to make air travel less appealing or more expensive, it seems like your timing could not be worse based on what this country has been through. I mean, we used to be a decent country when it comes to air travel. Now you might as well ride the New York City subway and get peed on. You're better off doing that than you are going to an airport these days. That's how bad it's become in some cases. So there's nothing about it that's appealing. It's getting more expensive than ever before. But spare me the whole, we're raising our bag fees because of fuel prices. If that was the case, you guys would have been rising or increasing those baggage rates and fees astronomically from 2022 to 2023 into early 2024. But you chose not to do that. So just admit what's really going on here. You want to make more money. Fine, that's capitalism. But don't tell me it's about the fuel costs, please. Because when they come back down, and I believe that they will, you're not lowering those baggage fees. 913-408-7957. That's how you join us on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. We got a lot to get to here on a Friday, including one side of our state line making a major mistake and being very petty about it. We'll tell you what that is coming up next. This is a big mistake in Missouri. I don't know why the state feels the need to be this petty about things when it comes to the Chiefs and the Royals, but, I guess for some people, they just can't help themselves. That's all I keep coming back to. They just cannot help themselves. But this feels completely unnecessary. So the Missouri House proposes cutting funding for the Chiefs, but here's the problem. This would also hit the Royals. The Missouri House's proposed budget, they're going through the budget process right now on both sides of the state line, proposed stripping $2 million from the Jackson County Sports Complex Authority because the Chiefs have announced they're moving across the state line. The state historically has provided $3 million to the Sports Authority for maintenance of Arrowhead and Kauffman stadiums. Local state rep Mike Steinmeier out of Sugar Creek said the reallocation would right-size spending in light of the Chiefs' planned departure. Steinmeier says here to the Kansas City Star, with the Chiefs planning to leave the state by 2031, it's appropriate that our funding reflects that reality. Now, the $2 million would be redirected to the Independence Fire Department for a program to coordinate responses between firefighters, mental health professionals, and social workers. So you're not even really doing this in an effort to right-size the budget. You're just giving the money to somebody else. That's what you're doing. You're taking the money from the Sports Authority and you're giving it to the Independence Fire Department for some program, which, listen, support the first responders, absolutely, but it's not like this is even about, hey, we got to tighten up the budget. This is all about petty politics. That's what it is. That's the name of the game here. It's petty politics. And here's the reality. As much as I have been highly critical, there's nobody in the town who's been more critical of this deal with the Chiefs going to Kansas than me. That being the case, you agreed to a deal, you get into bed with the sports teams, and this is part of how it goes. Okay? Missouri, from a statewide leadership level down to a local leadership level, did not do a good job during the entire process. And yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of the vote that went down in flames in Jackson County. Can you believe it? 2 years. Wow. And it's really not on Mike Kehoe. I mean, Governor Parson was totally brain dead on this whole thing. I mean, he was dragging his feet like none other. I got to wait for the teams. He was totally clueless throughout the entire process. Nice man, okay governor, and he was way out over his skis when it came to the sports teams. And then Kehoe gets in there. He's trying to save it last minute. Phil Lavoda gets in there after Frank White for Jackson County. He's trying to save it last minute. I believe if Kehoe and Lavoda were in charge earlier in the process for the state and the county, these teams, or at least the Chiefs, would have not left the Truman Sports Complex. But the political incompetency and the inability of anybody to be a decent leader in the process on the political side is part of what drove the Chiefs into the arms of Kansas. Along with the fact that, Kansas just offered up the stupidest deal in American pro sports history. And that's just not an opinion. I mean, that's being basically believed all around the country for people who look at these deals. It's unbelievable. So now, if you're Missouri, do you just kind of cut the bait? Because, by the way, there is a slight chance, like I'm talking 1%, maybe less than 1%, but you never say never to something potentially falling through on the Kansas side of the state line. We still don't know what the banks are going to make of these star bonds of this size. That's right now being analyzed by the bond guys and gals at Bank of America who are handling this. Now, what I believe is going to end up happening is if the banks come out and they say, hey, these bonds are junk, the state is going to back the bonds. That will happen. That's my prediction of what's going to happen if the banks come back and say these things are totally worthless and unreliable and you just can't justify the money here, so the state's got to back the bonds. That's what I think will end up happening next year after the election in Kansas. The politicians will just say, fine, the state will back the bonds. And none of them will have to get reelected for at least a couple of years, so they're just going to do it. But there's always that slight chance. I'm not trying to give anybody hope, okay? I'm not giving anyone false hope here. I'm just saying there's always that 1 in 100, 1 in 200, whatever it is, chance that maybe the whole thing falls apart. And if you're Missouri, why would you do that to save not even save a couple $1,000,000, just redirect a couple $1,000,000? What's it really worth to you? If it was a couple $1 billion or something and it's real money, okay, fine. But this is chump change. This is a rounding error. To prove to the Chiefs what? I'm mad at them. I'll show them with $2 million. I mean, Clark Hunt, a guy wipes his rear end with $2 million. Really? You think you're going to stick it to Clark Hunt like this? It just looks like amateur hour in Missouri. That's all it does. It looks like complete amateur hour. So the amended budget would still need to make it through the Senate and then be signed by Governor Kehoe. I don't think it's actually going to make it that far. But it looks very petty from the Missouri House. And while I don't think it's going anywhere, I do think it is just worth touching on here for a couple of minutes. 913-408-7957. And Mayor Lucas responded to this as well. He thought I don't even know why the mayor bothered. I mean, he knows that this thing is probably not going to go anywhere. But he felt the need to put out a statement saying the Chiefs are our partners today and will be for decades to come, particularly as major events hosted wherever the Chiefs may play will provide substantial benefits to Missouri and Missouri-based institutions like our convention center and airport, downtown, and other commercial districts, and the many hotels throughout our city. Cutting funds to spite a still Missouri-based franchise and shortchanging altogether hurts Missouri employees, contractors, and residents. That's the right statement, but he knows as well as we do it's probably not going anywhere. Coming up next, more radio hosts are running for office on KCMO.
from Lenexa to Lee Summit. You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Am I like the only radio host not running for office around here? My goodness. We got more. Yeah, not only Stegall, but more, John.
Yeah, I'm up for Grandview dog catcher. So,
well, you got my vote. I'll put a sign up. Not that I could even vote for you, but you know what? You got my vote, John. I am endorsing John Anthony for Grandview dog catcher. So we have Chris Stegall running up in the Northland now, Missouri's 6th congressional district against Nathan Willett. Of course, longtime host here on KCMO Talk Radio. And we had a guy named Hartzell, also known as Fartzell. He is running in Missouri's 4th congressional district against Mark Alford as a Democrat. Now, he's running in the anti-Semitic lane, is what you would say. He used to work at KCUR, and Mark worked with him at, wasn't he at one of the alt-rock station?
Yeah, when it was 96.5, The Buzz.
That
all
was
right. Our thing.
So he worked there with you for a hot minute. You want to endorse him?
Probably not this time, but
Okay, that's the right answer.
he's nice, but
Yeah.
he has some different ideas, I'll just say.
No, I met him at the July 4th thing down at World War I last year. He told me he was thinking about it. Very nice guy. Policies are nuts, but seemed like a very nice guy. And then we just found out yesterday that former Kansas City radio host, would we call him a shock jock? Would he fall under that? Randy Miller.
it was fun. I worked with him back at ZZ99, me, him, and Officer Gill, so we had a good time. I don't know that it was shocking. Randy's just had his boundaries were a little further out than the rest of people's.
Well, and that's when the boundaries were allowed to be further out there. Before the legal departments got involved.
We're trying to stamp out fun in this business.
Yes.
So we all have former coworkers in the race because Keatsman worked with Alford.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Kind of crazy.
That is pretty wild. So Randy Miller, longtime radio host in Kansas City, announced yesterday that he had filed to run in the 4th congressional district as a Democrat against Mark Alford. But he's got to beat Hartzell first in the primary. So you have 2 former radio hosts in Kansas City. This guy Hartzell, who worked in public radio and at The Buzz, which is now a defunct radio station, versus Randy Miller for the right to go up against Mark Alford. So it's Kansas City media unites in the 4th congressional district. Randy Miller announcing yesterday in this launch video he's in.
Hey, my name is Randy Miller, and as of today, I'm declaring my candidacy for the United States Congress as your representative of the 4th District of Missouri, running as a common sense Democrat. Now, I've never run for office before, and clearly I'm not a politician. You know what I am. I've been in radio all my life. I did crazy morning shows around the country, and then for the last 15 years, I've entertained the troops with a nationally syndicated weekly show called National Defense Network, which is dedicated to our active duty military, our veterans, and their families. You know, you might be wondering what a common sense Democrat is. Okay, I'll give you an example. You know, it's funny when you host a morning radio show, listeners come to know you and know you so well that they feel comfortable with asking you to help. And I love to help. So we had a regular segment on the show called Neighbors in Need. Really complicated. People called in with their needs and other people called in to fill those needs. Now, the station didn't love it because it took time away from playing commercials. But I've just never been too good with authority figures.
See, this is getting stupid. I'm a minute in, and I don't know what Randy's doing. I'm hearing an old radio story. Well, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Tell me right away. Okay, common sense Democrat. What does that mean? I'm a minute and 20 seconds into the video, and Randy should know better as a radio guy. Get to your damn point. What is this? I actually think that it's great that there are people who are not crazy left-wing Democrats running in the Democrat Party. I think that's a good thing for the party. So I don't care either way that he's in. I think it's good. Frankly, it's good for me that there's more people wanting to run for office. I just don't get what this video is trying to achieve. Where are we going here with this, Randy? Let's go.
But I really do love helping people. And I love people helping each other, despite what their differences are. Listen, we raise money for the mayor's Christmas tree every year, and we even gave away cars every December. We also gave away and delivered free hot pizzas, but only if you answered your door completely naked. That's a different part of the show.
I'm a minute and a half in, and all I know about Randy Miller is he calls himself a common sense Democrat. He hosted radio shows, and he likes to give pizza to people who are nude at the front door. What?
He likes giving away free stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that is good for the Democrat Party. They love giving away free stuff. That's true. That's kind of a tenet of the party. But what? Like, there's time for the radio stories. I get it. I know what he's going for here. But this isn't it.
You know, back then people could take a joke. Come on, remember that? The people that helped each other despite what their differences were, but somehow along the way, we lost that. We got cynical and sensitive, divisive and distant. But I believe we can get that back. I want to shake things up for my friends and neighbors in the 4th District. My wife, Renee, and I live on a horse ranch, and we know a lot of farmers right now that are struggling. High prices on fertilizer and fuel means they're losing money on every crop this year. Talk about neighbors in need. Listen, I don't pretend to know what everybody in the 4th District needs, but I know the things they don't need. They don't need to pay $7 for a dozen eggs. They don't need to pay $4 a gallon for gas. And they don't need an ICE detention center. Hey, we're in danger of losing our democracy and our dignity. Don't let it happen. Come along on this journey with me. Let me spread the word in Washington that the 4th District of Missouri will not lay down and take it anymore. And you might just win a free pizza. Hey, by the way, even though it's my favorite holiday, this is not an April Fool's joke. Just go to randymillerforcongress.com to find out more.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Randy Miller, longtime radio host in Kansas City, announcing he's running for Congress, 4th Congressional District. He will have a primary, and then if he wins that primary, he will go up against Mark Alford. It's nice to hear that there are common sense Democrats who want to run for office. That's great. But, you know, when he's talking about, hey, come on, everyone used to be able to take a joke. He's running in a party that literally can't have a sense of humor because they're triggered and offended by everything. In many respects, Democrats killed comedy because you can't offend anybody anymore. And like he's going on about, hey, come on, let's give away some pizzas to naked people. Hey, let's go. Let's take a joke. Like, okay, is this a joke? But no, it's not a joke. It's real. It's crazy. Libby's in Waldo. Hi, Libby.
Good morning, Pete. I listened to the whole thing like yourself. And the one point that absolutely got me laughing and thinking, oh, my God, okay, buddy, he owns a horse ranch. What does that tell you? That tells me, as somebody out here, the man has money. Raising horses at a horse ranch, that's an expensive hobby.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he hit it in the heyday of radio, so he did very well, and I'm very happy for him that he did. But yeah, listen, there's nothing wrong with being having some money and doing what you want. I mean, let's be honest. Most people who run for office, it's a hobby because they have the money to do it.
You know, I would love to run as mayor in the city. I really would. I wish I had the nerve. I guess I do have the nerve, but I don't have the money. I'm not going to. No, I don't have any way of doing it. But I'd love to run as mayor in this city. I already have a great line and everything. I think it'd be kind of fun. I think I could get the votes too.
I think you should give it a shot there, Libby. You have a great weekend. Okay.
You too. Bye.
All right. See you later, Kevin. You're on KCMO. Go ahead.
Hey, Pete. It was crazy how all his radio stories, but the way he first starts out with common sense Democrat is like, well, that's an oxymoron for one. And then he follows it up at the end with talking about no ICE detention centers, high price of eggs and gas, some of the talking points that they hit Trump on all the time. So it's like, yep, same old, same old.
Well, it's weird, too, because he's talking about how fertilizer and gas prices are up, and that's just been like the last 2 weeks. So did he decide 2 weeks ago that when gas prices started going up, he was going to run for office? Like, that was literally a thing as of 14 days ago.
Yeah, I know. That's a good question. I don't know. But, yeah, at first it's like, no. And then all his crazy stuff. I mean, I remember when he was on the radio and all the stuff he did. But, yeah, and then when he finished it up with those, typical talking points, it's like, yep, here we go again.
Yeah.
Same old.
Yeah, well, and someone might want to tell him, too, the latest numbers suggest that a dozen of eggs, national average retail price, about $2.50, not $7. So,
right.
Listen, I'm not saying prices have not gotten kind of silly, but if you were going to use the $7 for eggs, that was like totally last year.
Yeah. I mean, to hit all the Orange Man bad crap is to get the blessing from the DNC or whatever.
Yeah, but the reality is, Mark Alford's in a pretty safe seat. So I don't know. I don't know if people are bored or what's going on. Have a great weekend, Kev.
Thanks.
All right, see you, man. Mike in Kansas City, go.
Yeah, you can't be a common sense Democrat because look what they're doing to Fetterman. And what's going to happen is the puppet masters of the Democrat Party will primary anybody that's not going their radical line out. Look at Schumer. I mean, Schumer is terrified that he's going to be primary, if he even remotely disagrees with the puppet masters.
Yeah.
So, the Democrat Party needs a reformation.
Yeah, and they do, and they need more. I mean, I would welcome them to move to the center, but like Randy Miller can't single-handedly do it.
No, and again, he's fighting the establishment. You got 7 people that are funding the party, and it's what those 7 people want that's guiding everything. And that's why they're so radical. But they threw $3.5 billion in the No Kings rally last weekend. How many people you think would have gone to it if they didn't have to throw that $3.5 billion in there? They got the money and they've got the will, and that's what money talks.
Yep, it does. Thank you, Mike. Have a great weekend. 913-408-7957. So 3 radio guys running for Congress in Missouri. The latest one being Randy Miller, joining Chris Stigall up north, and Hartzell Gray also in the 4th Congressional District. How about that? Go figure. The 6 of 6, top 6 stories in the 6 o'clock hour we'll get to coming up next right here on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. We got more rain coming today, right? We had a bunch of rain the last couple of nights. Well, now is the time when you might start to see some issues in that foundation. Might have some water, some cracks coming in. And that's the reality of home ownership. It comes with surprises. And that's why I'm proud to be working with KC Pier, Kansas City's foundation repair experts. These guys are great, first off, because when you call KC Pier here in Kansas City, a real person picks up the phone, and they're right here in our town. It's not a call center, not some robot. Locally owned, every job is done by their own trained employees, not subcontractors. And they don't just fix your problem and disappear. KC Pier gives you a lifetime transferable warranty, plus 1 and 2 year monitoring visits to make sure your foundation is performing the way it should. They also take an educational approach, walking you through their simple ABC solution options so you understand what your home needs, why it needs it, and what makes the most sense for you. So if you've been having maybe some water issues the last couple of days, you might have some coming this weekend, or you're seeing cracks in the wall, protect your home equity now with KC Pier and get them out for a structural consultation. KC Pier, Kansas City owned and home with a lifetime warranty. Go to kcpier.com.
You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM KCMO.
So, the Las Vegas Raiders, they brought in Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins, after next season, will have earned $341 million over his career. For the most mediocre of mediocre careers, he will have earned $341 million in NFL salary earnings alone.
That is platinum clipboard status.
That is unbelievable. Wow. I'm telling you what, I know I have 3 girls, but if I had a boy right now, I'd get that football in his hand and say, son, you're going to try to be Kirk Cousins, okay? That's how you make it in life. Unbelievable. All right, it's that time of the morning. Let's roll.
It's time for the 6 at 6 on KCMO Talk Radio. Number 1.
Top of the list, the severe weather today is something we'll be watching this morning. It's going to be windy. It will start to warm up. It's not warm out there right now, but it will start to warm up quickly this morning. Turn windy and warm throughout the day. Southwest gusts reaching 40 miles an hour. We'll get to the mid-70s before that severe weather arrives later in the afternoon. Storms are going to be moving through the region between 3 p.m. and 11 p.m. The window for storms in the Kansas City area specifically, right at about 5 o'clock until maybe 9 o'clock tonight. They'll arrive sooner northwest of KC and later southeast of the metro. KCTV5 is calling it a level 2 out of 5 risk day. Areas to the northeast face a level 3 out of 5 risk day. Storms are expected to form into a line. Linear systems like today's typically produce powerful straight-line winds and brief tornado spin-ups. Those are the main threats. It will be a fast-moving system, blow in and out quickly, but it still is going to impact Friday late afternoon, early evening plans. But what to expect: damaging straight-line winds, potential for hail, a few possible spin-ups on the tornado side, and rainfalls anywhere from 0.5 inch to 1.5 inches with isolated higher amounts. The highest rainfall amounts most likely in the southeastern parts of the metro. So there is going to be a level 2 of 4 flood threat for southeastern areas around Kansas City. So something to keep an eye on today as well.
Number 2.
All right, number 2. Let's go to Smithville, where they had that big fire a couple of days ago at the strip mall. Well, the Kiwanis Club and the Chamber of Commerce have organized the official disaster relief fund benefiting the fire-impacted businesses and their employees. But the chamber has been made aware of fraudulent Venmo accounts claiming to collect donations for fire relief efforts. This happens all the time now with these tragedies. Do not fall for these scams, all right? To ensure that your support reaches local businesses and employees impacted by the fire in Smithville, only use the official Smithville Chamber Venmo. That is at Smithville Chamber. Now, I probably would bring a check down, but I might be old school. I'm not sure I'm Venmoing any official chamber account, to be honest, but that's the chamber account. You can also drop off cash and check donations at the following locations: the Edward Jones office on Shamrock Way with Starla Janes. Sounds like a radio host, Starla Janes, doesn't it? That's a good radio name. I don't know.
Great work. Yeah,
that's a good radio name. Nottoway Valley Bank with Holly Sullivan, and then the Smithville Chamber right on Main Street. So those are the places that you can bring a cash or check donation to help out those who were impacted by the fire up in Smithville earlier this week.
Number 3.
All right. Speaking of fires, let's go to northeast Kansas City, where 2 people were injured in a fire, taken to the hospital following a fire at an apartment complex late last night. The fire was reported at about 10 o'clock on the northeast side of the city on Smart Avenue near Hardesty. Arriving firefighters reported seeing heavy smoke coming from the 2-story multifamily apartment. 2 people inside the apartment were taken to the hospital for minor injuries and smoke inhalation. The Kansas City Police Department's bomb and arson unit was requested to investigate the cause of the fire.
Number 4.
Next up, let's go to Harrisonville, where an administrator is accused of damaging the Margaritaville Resort Bar. Harrisonville's assistant superintendent is charged in damaging a bar while on a district trip in Osage Beach, Missouri. Joseph Parkhurst is charged with trespassing and property damage in Camden County, Missouri. Court records list that he lives in Harrisonville, and the school district's website lists him as the assistant superintendent of HR and operations. Remember the old days when you just had an assistant superintendent? Now you have an assistant superintendent of HR and operations. This is exactly what we talk about. What does that mean? You have the assistant superintendent within various departments now? My goodness,
Sounds
man.
like he's going to have to haul himself down to his office.
Yeah. He has an initial court appearance on April 21st at 9 a.m. down by the lake. So unbelievable. Here's just the quick story. Deputies said that inside the Landshark bar, they found multiple plastic cups that Parkhurst had allegedly drunk from, half-served pitchers, a broken margarita mix, several empty beer cans, and a computer knocked over and broken beer taps. When deputies went to talk with him, they noticed a landline phone broken off the wall, a plastic light cover damaged, and a roof tile out of place. They said he was highly intoxicated. He was arrested and taken to the adult detention center. So, boy, that went downhill quickly.
Yep.
Jeez. That's,
I think I can climb out here. Let me stand on this beer keg. Whoops.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my gosh. Okay. All right. What's next?
Number 5.
Well, the Royals lose to the Twins yesterday. They could not complete the sweep, falling 5-1. But they got national attention because backup catcher Carter Jensen did not wake up. He slept through his alarm. Terrible look for him. And he has been roasted, getting national attention for it as well.
Number 6.
And I'm realizing I am running out of time, so let's wrap it up here. Today is Good Friday, commemorating Jesus' sacrifice, of course. And this is a day that for many of us, I know, is a very important day and one of the most valuable days on the entire calendar. So a Good Friday to all of you, and we have more coming up after the news in 1 minute. We've already got things heating up in Jackson County. How about that? 7:04, happy Friday. We made it. We did not sleep through our alarms here on KCMO Talk Radio, unlike Carter Jensen, Royals backup catcher who just didn't wake up yesterday for the game. He was supposed to start in the lineup in place of Salvador Perez, and he slept through his alarm. It's unbelievable.
Feels like everybody, sports fans at least around town today, are probably setting 3, 4, 5 alarms, making sure they're not missing work.
Well, hopefully that starts with you, Mark. I found out that Mark and John only set 1 alarm each, which is crazy to me. I have 4 alarms.
I mean, I have a baby and dogs too, so I get woken up many times during the night.
Well, I understand that feeling. We're on the same page there. But still, man, you can't rely on them, all right? I got the Alexa. I got 3 on my phone. Carter Jensen should, learn from us early morning radio guys on how to not sleep in. But anyway, in Jackson County, you already have some juice in the executive race. And if you're in Lee's Summit ahead of your mayor's race coming up on Tuesday, this is going to be very interesting and something that you should keep a close eye on here. So Phil Lavoda is right now the interim county executive, right? And he filed at the last minute this week because the deadline was Tuesday to file to run for office in Missouri. He decided he was going to run for office in Missouri as Jackson County executive on a permanent basis. This despite the fact when he took the job on an interim basis, he came out and he said, hey, I'm only going to do this through 2026 and then I'll be done. I will not seek the office full time. He changed his tune. Some people claim that means he's a liar who can't be trusted. I look at it and I see a guy who is, he's not old. My point is he's lived a full life. He's lived a full career. He was retired. This is not some launching pad for Phil Lavoda to be like governor of Missouri or something like that. This is a guy who helped his county out in the wake of the Frank White disaster. And, I think he's done a pretty darn good job at that. So now he's running for the full-time position. But one of the guys he's running against is the current Lee Summit mayor, Bill Baird. And these guys have had a war of words over the last 24 hours or so. So Phil Lavoda put out a statement yesterday. And he said here in part, when Bill Baird tried to make some political points and question my integrity and honesty, I want to share one of the reasons when I changed from not intending to run to actually filing to run. So Phil Lavoda says a few weeks ago on March 11th of 2026, so, 3 weeks ago now, which I actually bumped into Phil. When was that? It was March the 6th. It was 4 weeks ago tonight. I bumped into him downtown. Kate and I were out, and we just bumped into Phil, and we had a conversation, and he talked about potentially wanting to run for the position full time. And, I said, listen, I think you're doing a competent job, and I wouldn't worry. This is what I told him. I said, I wouldn't worry about the fact that you signed the pledge. Okay? Things change, situations change, and if you're doing a good job and the people think you're doing a good job, then you know what? Let them have a chance to vote for you. And if they are offended by the fact that you signed the pledge and then announced you're going to run for the position full time, they'll let you know at the voting booth. That was kind of my 2 cents to him. I don't think I've told that story yet on the air. But anyway, on March 11th, Baird asked Phil Lavoda, this is from Phil Lavoda, to attend a meeting with himself and other mayors in Raytown. At the meeting, after a whiteboard presentation, Lavoda says that the Lee Summit mayor asked him, Phil Lavoda, to implement a policy to raise assessments immediately and increase property taxes for Jackson County taxpayers to not issue tax credits. Lavoda says in the statement he was shocked. He adds here, after I've spent the last 5 months lowering assessments and taxes for Jackson County, I was flabbergasted and thought that Bill Baird, the Lee Summit mayor, was joking, but he was not. He was actually advocating for me to raise taxes and assessments because when taxpayers paid lower taxes, the taxing jurisdictions got less, and he actually wanted me to raise taxes on Jackson County taxpayers. I continued to say that I would not be a part of this in any fashion, as the reason I was in office was to lower taxes, not raise them. After the meeting, I was still so confused, but then I realized writes Phil Avoda, that Bill Barrett has made a lucrative career in public and private life helping developers make money at the expense of taxpayers. So it made sense. But I set it aside because I knew I would not be part of that scheme to raise taxes. It was not until I saw that Bill Barrett had actually filed to run for Jackson County Executive that my red flags went up. I knew he had already openly shown to me and many others that his goal was to raise your taxes. I'm running to protect taxpayers because a Bill Barrett County Executive has openly said he will raise your taxes, writes Phil Avoda. He advocated for me to raise them, and when I said no, he decided to run himself so he could raise your taxes. That is part of the statement from Jackson County Executive Phil Avoda. Now, right now, that's a kind of a he said. I don't know what happened in that situation. But you also have this Lee Summit mayor's race coming up. And, Bill Barrett is the current mayor. And, he obviously has shown his support as the two-term mayor of Lee Summit for a guy named Beto Lopez, who, is running and was on the show earlier this week. And she is running against Cindy Rader, who was on Keatsman's show a couple of weeks ago. You can find both of those interviews on this podcast or on Keatsman's podcast if you want to listen to that if you're a Lee Summit resident. But one of the issues in Lee Summit has been one of the issues we've dealt with around the metro, which is tied to developers taking advantage of city councils and doing whatever they damn well please. It's a problem in Lee Summit, not as bad as Overland Park or Olathe or Lenexa, but it's getting worse. So what do you want, and who do you want to be in charge of your city if you're out there in Lee Summit? Do you want, and this is not me, I have not done enough to know exactly where this race is going to go, but it's pretty clear to me in talking to Beto Lopez the other day, seemed like a nice guy, but he seemed more open to the idea of an apartment-driven Lee Summit than does Cindy Rader, who has made it clear that slowing down the apartment builds is a goal of hers. So it is another example here in the metro, even if you're not a Lee Summit resident, of at least watching to see what happens coming up on Tuesday in Lee Summit, where you're going to have another major municipality make a decision on its city leadership, in part based on what has become the suburban issue of our time. And that is, how many apartments are too many apartments? How does it change the neighborhood? How does it change the feel of the community? We were out there a couple of weeks ago in Lee Summit at Conrad's for Keatsman's shows. It's fantastic. The downtown is beautiful. It's quaint. It's got a great feel. I mean, everyone out there knows it. How much do you want that to change? Do you want to be Overland Park light? Maybe you do. Maybe that's what people want. But they'll have a chance to vote on Tuesday, and I'll be curious to see what that turnout looks like on Tuesday as well in Lee Summit, because it probably won't be on a lot of people's minds, even though it should be. Coming up next on KCMO, there's an organization that does some great work on one side of our state line, one particular side of our state line. They're fighting the good fight, and they haven't gotten a lot of attention during the legislative session. But I want to catch you up on some of the things that they've got going on, why they're doing it, who they're protecting, and more. And a great event they've got coming up as well on KCMO.
from Leawood to Liberty. You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Well, coming up, it's the Kansans For Life banquet. Always a great time right here in Overland Park. CNN star Scott Jennings, yes, the guy who loves to own the libs on CNN, is going to be out here for KFL. It's coming up on April 14th. We'll tell you how to get involved, how to come out, how to get your tickets. I'll be the MC, happening on Tuesday, April 14th. Mackenzie Ayers is the Director of Communications for Kansans For Life, joining us right here on KCMO Talk Radio. Mackenzie, let's just start with some of the wins that KFL has had in the legislature this year in Topeka. What have those been for people who have not been paying as much attention?
Absolutely. It's been a very, very busy legislative session. I think Kansans should know that pro-lifers have had to endure 8 years of Governor Laura Kelly, who is the most pro-abortion governor in our state's history. But thankfully, we have some common sense legislators who are stepping up and fighting back. Last week, so all of our pro-life priorities have been sent to the governor's desk. And last week, Kansas legislators very quickly overrode Governor Kelly on something that's a very common sense policy. It's called the Pregnancy Care Act. And all that law does is protect the more than 50 pregnancy centers across Kansas from being forced by state or local government agencies to act against their mission or beliefs. So we've seen nationally, attacks on pregnancy centers are growing in states like California and New Jersey. States are requiring these pregnancy centers to publish lists of private donors or to post things inside of their centers referring for abortion. And we wanted to put something forward that was proactive, that protects our pregnancy centers so that they're able to continue providing the life-affirming care to women and families across our state. So that was passed by both chambers. The governor vetoed it. And within hours, the legislature came back together and overrode her veto. So here soon in Kansas, PRCs across the state will be able to operate and provide life-affirming support to women and families free from government discrimination.
Wow, that is such a win. And it seems to me like, at a time when obviously you're going up against a governor that just is not going to sign seemingly any piece of legislation that you even, tepidly support or endorse. What has that uphill battle been like for you over the last several years? And how have you tried to just find the wins where you can to keep the movement moving forward?
Well, absolutely. We are focused on compassion for women because we believe that behind every single one of those lives that we have lost to abortion is a woman who maybe felt like she had no other choice. And so it's sad but not surprising to see the governor just fight back against us at every single turn. These pregnancy centers are providing free, real, tangible help to women and families. Things like free pregnancy tests, free ultrasounds, free parenting classes, support during pregnancy and after pregnancy. So we're just continuing to just fight back and say no. It's certainly hard, but thankfully we have some common sense legislators in there elected by the people who are doing just a great job. Other things that we're having to fight back against the governor on are we're assuming that she's going to veto some important pieces of legislation coming up in the next couple of weeks. We put two things inside of the state budget. One ensures that Kansas hard-working taxpayer dollars are not going to the abortion industry, so we are disqualifying abortion facilities from serving as Medicaid providers. So we expect that she will veto that and we'll be ready to go because Kansans should have confidence that their tax dollars are not being directed to substandard clinics. And then, again, just continuing to uplift and support women, just funneling money to these pregnancy centers and just strengthening informed consent so that women, if they're going in for an abortion, that they're being provided with all of the options. And, Laura Kelly loves to say that she's pro-choice unless that choice is a woman choosing life. So we are here to walk alongside these women and provide them with compassionate support.
Well said. All right, coming up here on April 14th, the big KFL banquet in Overland Park. Scott Jennings, rock star at CNN, is going to be here that night. I'm always grateful to be your MC, Mackenzie. What can people do to get involved, and how can they buy tickets here before they close out and sell out?
Absolutely. Well, tickets close on Tuesday, so we invite people to go to kfl.org to purchase tickets. This is one night out of the year where pro-lifers come together to celebrate the victories that we are seeing and hear about the vision moving forward. Scott Jennings, I think, is going to be great. He is just a bold voice. He's battling back on CNN every single day, and so hopefully he can provide that encouragement for us in the pro-life movement. We're facing battles all the time. So if Scott can do it, surely we can do it too. So kfl.org has all of the information.
KFL.org. Head on over there. Join us on Tuesday, April 14th. A couple of days left to get tickets. Scott Jennings is going to be a rock star that night in Overland Park. Mackenzie, you're a rock star. Keep up the great work. We appreciate the time on KCMO.
Thanks, Pete.
There you go. Looking forward to that coming up on April 14th, KFL.org. So we are just a couple of minutes away from the jobless claims numbers coming out. Now, here's what makes today unique. The stock market is not open, courtesy of Good Friday. So the markets cannot react to whatever is going to happen here with the jobless claims numbers. Also, oil futures continue to go up. So you've got a situation right now where the markets are not going to be open until Monday morning. I mean, we've got like 3 days. But oil prices end the week at $112 a barrel. And that is up from, it was $97 a barrel before the speech on Wednesday night. So we'll just have to wait and see. What do those numbers look like? Where does it go from here? We'll break it down and give you the newest information on that front coming up next.
From Gladstone to Gardner, you're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
All right, looking at these numbers here in real time, jobs report just coming out here. So unemployment rate ticked down to 4.3% from 4.4%. The expectation was for 4.5%. Big time increase in private payrolls. Jobs numbers increasing 186,000 in private payrolls for the month of March. The expectations were for 73,000, so more than double what the expectations were. Non-farm payrolls up 178,000 jobs in March. The expectations there were for 60,000. So those are some good numbers, but like anything else, they're so bad at projecting this stuff now. Labor force participation rate, 61.9%. It was previously 62.0%. So listen, some good signs here. You can't take it away from the jobs report. Question is, how accurate are they, right? Are they readjusting these things in 6 months? I don't know. That's what's obviously happened far too often on these things. But just the headline news here, unemployment rate ticks down, comes in below expectations, 4.3%. On top of that, you also have the number that came out on private jobs pushing 200,000 when the expectation was for 78,000. So a good number there. This marks the biggest monthly job addition since March of 2025. This is a much stronger jobs report than what was expected in the middle of a war.
Yeah, like those private numbers, private employment.
That's fantastic.
We should be getting to the end of shedding some of these public jobs.
Yes.
Right?
Well, keep going as far as I'm concerned.
Touché.
Don't stop. Don't
Touché.
slow down. But yeah, I would imagine, if nothing else, John, the pace at which they're shedding those jobs will start to slow, to your point.
Yeah.
So this is a big upside surprise. U.S. job growth came in far stronger than expected, which signals more resilience in the labor market. Hopefully this will ease recession fears, but it also should keep some pressure on the Fed to stay cautious on rate cuts. Don't just start cutting rates because you're like, oh, we're in a war, things are softening, we got to cut interest rates. Not yet, not necessarily. If the labor market holds up, that's a very good sign. That's a big positive. And when you have numbers come in like this, that's fantastic. The question is there some kind of major revision? But, you're not going to see the market react today because, of course, it's Good Friday, so the markets are closed today. So that's just something to watch. I mean, futures aren't going to really do anything right now either. At least I haven't seen them do anything. So they're just going to be sitting down and kind of hanging tight until Monday. But between now and Monday, you could have like 4 news cycles between now and Monday.
Yeah.
The jobs report from this morning could mean absolutely nothing come Monday morning. The war is going to have a much bigger impact. And we just got this post on Truth Social 10 minutes ago from the President of the United States. He says here, with a little more time, we can easily open up the Hormuz Strait, take the oil, and make a fortune. It would be a gusher for the world. President Donald J. Trump. So that comes a few hours after the president said we're going to start striking Iranian bridges next and then the electric power plants. So, once again, like I said, we're 6 news cycles away from Monday morning.
Yeah, but there's somebody going, I'm getting the Lambo Monday morning. I'm buying it.
I'm going out. Let's go, baby. Oh, my goodness. All right. So that's where things are at right now in the wake of this jobs report that just came out this morning. I'll take a look at where exactly these jobs were from because that matters, too, in terms of like what sectors ended up adding jobs. I'd like to kind of look into that and see what the Bureau of Labor Statistics actually says about where the growth is in these jobs numbers. So I try to do that. They just dropped at 7:30 this morning. Okay, here we go. I've got them right in front of me here from the BLS.gov. That's Bureau of Labor Statistics. Healthcare adding 76,000 jobs. Employment in other healthcare services rose by 54,000, reflecting an increase of 35,000 in offices of physicians as workers return from a strike. Employment also increased in hospitals, 15,000. So that's where that number came from. Employment in construction grew by 26,000 in March. Transportation and warehousing added 21,000 jobs. Social assistance up 14,000. Federal government employment continued to decline in March by 18,000. How about this? Since reaching a peak in October of 2024, right before the election, federal government employment is down by 355,000 jobs. Holy smokes. 355,000 federal government jobs have been shed since October of 2024, or just shy of 12% of the entire federal workforce. That's a monster number. Boy, that who is it? Chris Matthews, who said that Obama gave him a tingle up his leg? That gives me a tingle up my leg right there. That's what I get when I see a number like that. That's outstanding.
You know, if we had that many people employed with the government, I would expect our interstates and roadways to be a little cleaner.
Yeah,
please,
well,
right?
Geez.
Right?
And has anyone noticed have any of your services, if you use the federal government for something, have you noticed a decline in any of your services since we got rid of 4.5 Arrowhead stadiums of employees? I didn't think so. So there you go. Okay. Those are some of the numbers as that breaking news is just from 10 minutes ago. Jobs numbers come out exceeding expectations by a wide margin. So did you see this in St. Louis yesterday? My Mets are playing the Cardinals this week over there in St. Louis. And the Mets broadcasting crew they just laid it on St. Louis. You know, baseball is a very casual broadcast, right? You're kind of storytelling and just having a conversation and then there's a ball outside. Like, that's just how a baseball broadcast goes, which is great. That's why you love the sounds of baseball. The sounds of baseball and the sounds of golf, there's nothing like them because of the pacing of these two sports. So a good baseball crew is kind of having a conversation about, like when the Mets were in Kansas City last year, they're talking about going to Joe's Barbecue and the great barbecue and how great Kansas City is. Well, the Mets were in St. Louis this week, and they went viral for their broadcast team just talking about how St. Louis is a total ghost town. Take a listen.
The only thing missing from that picture, as is often missing from every picture we show of downtown St. Louis, no people.
No people. Well, you know what? They want it to look picturesque. You can see a car driving by on the right. That's the only sign of life.
But there's never anybody walking around in downtown St. Louis.
It's not very often, you're right.
It's like, remember the old neutron bomb that wouldn't knock down buildings but just would eliminate all the people? It's like one of those hit St. Louis.
I guess it's just a photo op. People then run and hide, so they're not in the photo.
So naturally, there were many in St. Louis who took offense to that. Now, the Cardinals won the series, so they got the last laugh. But, some people are saying, oh, yeah, well, New York's a dump too. Yeah, they're not saying it isn't. I don't think anyone, you could take plenty of shots at New York right now with Mamdani and the setup of that city. But to me, I'm always intrigued by how baseball broadcasters talk about another city, because it's not like football or basketball or hockey where you show up for the game that night and then you leave. Like, you typically will spend 2 or 3 days in that city, right? So you're waking up there, you're getting breakfast, you might be getting lunch before the ball game, and then you do it again the next day. So you really get a feel for the city as a baseball broadcaster. I don't perceive that as like, wow, they're really trashing St. Louis. I mean, they are, but I think they're doing it in kind of like boy, this is sad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the reality is, we've talked about it. St. Louis has a major problem. I think it's now the number 2 city in the state of Missouri with all the issues St. Louis has had. Its crime is worse than Kansas City. There have been multiple national pieces written about how you can buy commercial property at like $1 a square foot in downtown St. Louis because the buildings are totally empty. It has been completely hollowed out downtown. You can't go outside of Busch Stadium. Unless you stay in that ballpark village, no one's walking around there at night. We've had stories over the last couple of years. Former Governor Eric Greitens, when he was running for Senate, was like getting in the middle of gunfights in the middle of the street at like 7 o'clock at night in the summertime when it's broad daylight. We've got problems in Kansas City, but St. Louis says, hold my beer. We've got you topped, especially when it comes to downtown issues. 2 weeks ago when they had the NCAA tournament down there, Mizzou was playing, right? And what happened? The mayor of St. Louis put out a curfew on those under the age of 18 for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night when the NCAA tournament was happening that weekend. And they said that they were going to be arresting anybody who is not with an adult under the age of 18 during that NCAA tournament weekend because they have such a problem when it comes to crime in that downtown hub. And that's sad. But don't be mad at the broadcasters just acknowledging it. They're not saying that their town doesn't have problems. They're saying, hey, this used to be, the gateway to the West. And now, middle of the day, you got nobody walking around downtown, and you got commercial property that they're trying to give away in St. Louis. So I don't think here in Kansas City, I'm sure, most of us really care that somebody wants to rip on St. Louis. But it really is telling for the state of Missouri that its once crown jewel is a shell of what it used to be, and that people are now noticing. That's my only read on it there, John.
I'm with you there. And the problem, I remember when St. Louis would be a regional headquarters for, Southwestern Bell, but consolidation's kind of hollowed out the downtown and stuff, and you've got to reinvent yourself, if you will.
Yes.
To it, I think Kansas City's doing okay, at least, relatively speaking, certainly compared to them.
I would totally agree. We talk about whether or not the Royals should be downtown. How safe is that going to be? It's not even close. It's not even close. I mean, yeah, we certainly have our problems. We talk about them plenty of times. But I'll tell you right now, I'd much rather have our problems than St. Louis's problems.
It's kind of like when you go to college, the professor tells you the ideal, but then there's the practical application of reality once you get out there, right? We're all in love with the idea of downtown baseball, but the practical application is on display in St. Louis.
No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. 913-408-7957. That's how you join us on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. We are streaming, as always, on the KCMO Talk Radio app. Coming up next, something I liked from TMZ, but then something that they went downhill on very quickly as it relates to members of Congress who they're trying to expose. We'll share that story with you next here on KCMO Talk Radio. All right, it's Easter weekend. You're running out of time. You got to pick up last-minute items, but you got to get to work. The kids are busy. What do? Hy-Vee online orders the way to go. And if you're a Perks Plus member like I am, well, what do you get out of that? That means you get delivery to your home for free from Hy-Vee, or you go pick it up yourself. Either way, let Hy-Vee do the shopping for you. Get it on the Hy-Vee app or at Hy-Vee.com.
The fun's not done after Mundo in the Morning. Hey, it's Kevin Keatsman. Join me for Uncanceled at 10 o'clock right here on KCMO Talk Radio.
TMZ's done a really good job of highlighting some of the members of Congress who are just out gallivanting, enjoying vacation. Half of them are in like Scotland hanging out at a castle. Literally, they've got almost 3 dozen members of Congress who ended up at a Scotland castle during their Easter break. So it must be nice. While, of course, regular people are getting totally hosed, you still have a partial shutdown of DHS. You got members of Congress overseas having a grand old time. So TMZ has took it into their own hands to go out there and expose some of this. And they've said to people, hey, if you're like around the world and you see members of Congress, just let us know. We'll expose them. Now, they're not saying bother people, but hey, if you're a public figure, let's be honest, half of these members of Congress run because they want to be famous. All right? That's it. People who are rich want to be famous. If they're not known, and the quickest way for them to be known, there's 2 ways to do it. One is to own a sports team, but that is now, fortunately, I don't much care. But you have to have many, many billions of dollars if you want to own a sports team now. So if you're not that rich, but you're still really rich and you want to be famous, the quickest way to do it is to run for political office. And that also gets you power, right? I'm not saying that these are the things that people should want in life, especially as we sit here on a Good Friday, but sadly it is. People who are wealthy are then motivated by power or fame. People who have power are then motivated by wealth or fame. And those 3 things, once again, not good, not healthy, but in too many cases are what drive too many people. And politics is a quick way to become kind of somebody and become somewhat famous. So if that's what they want, then you know what? You can live that paparazzi-style life. And TMZ is exposing you. And I don't mind them doing this. No one's getting hurt in the process. They're just saying, hey, these guys and gals, members of Congress, are out there living their best life while regular people still are not getting paid. The one thing I did not like is they gave Jared Moskowitz a hard time yesterday. He is a Democrat congressman. He's from, I don't know where he's from, Florida. And they wrote a piece on Jared Moskowitz at his son's basketball game this week as federal workers were obviously, not being able to pay their bills. So they note here the representative from Florida was the timekeeper at Pine Trails Park in Parkland, Florida, as his 12-year-old son played basketball against another team. Now, of all the guys that we're going to knock or gals we're going to knock, I'm not going to put the guy who's playing timekeeper at his 12-year-old son's basketball game on that list. All right? I'm not going to do that.
It's a little doxing, too.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is doxing, which I don't mind when you're a public figure in a public space. I really don't. I mean, you're in Congress, okay? This comes with the territory. Not saying you should hurt anybody or harass anybody, but you can have your picture taken. That's part of how it goes.
It's community service if you're helping the youth league.
Well, yes, and It's his own kid.
Yeah.
So, if more of these members of Congress just played mom and dad, they'd be better off. Kids would be better off.
Deal with that.
We'd all be better off.
Yeah. I would say keep the kids out of it if you're the media, though.
Well, yeah. No. There's no picture of the kid. There's no picture of the kid. That's a fair question mark. Mm-hmm. It's just him sitting there. Can you guys see my screen here? He's just sitting there kind of punching the clock, So you can't see any.
That.
Yeah.
You've got one job.
He's sitting there with a little bubbly drink. He's got his keys on the table. Outdoors in Florida. You can see the scoreboard in the back. There's no kids in the picture. He's just there playing timekeeper. I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. Okay, if you're gonna do something on your spare time as a member of Congress, timekeeper for your kid is nowhere close to my list of bothersome.
Well, it's almost like being in a suite at the Lakers game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Not even.
Or like Lindsey Graham gallivanting around Disney World. I mean, the strangest thing you'll ever see, right? Like those things are so much further up the list. You've got this other guy, Representative Robert Garcia, who's hitting up casino bars in Vegas. There were multiple members of Congress, as I noted, at Edinburgh Castle in Scotland, John Maguire, David Rozier, and Derek Van Orden. And you know what? That's the kind of stuff that should be exposed. You're hanging out at Edinburgh Castle in Scotland while DHS has people not getting paid, while people are sleeping in their cars. You got a problem. Guys, part of his kid's basketball game? Come on. I don't need that. But speaking of TMZ, they got the Tiger Woods DUI video. Did you see this yesterday?
Oh, man. He was talking to the president.
Yeah. Oh, this is, take a listen to Tiger Woods. He's walking away from his car crash from last week, right? And he's walking down the street. He's got sunglasses on, hat, and the cop's like, hey, come on down here, sir. Come on down here. And take a listen to what Tiger Woods says.
Here with us, please. Get you to hang out down here with us, please.
Thank you so much. All right. You got it. All right. Thank you. Bye. Say again?
Just keep you down here with us, please.
Yeah, I was just talking to the president. Trying to get away from everybody.
Tiger Woods on his phone says to the cop, yeah, sorry, I was on the phone with the president.
Biggest name drop ever.
By the way, do you think he really was, or do you think he was just trying to play it off like he was? Now, he's dating Tiger's dating President Trump's ex-daughter-in-law, Don Jr.'s ex-wife. So the whole thing's a little strange. But that is the greatest name drop in the history of car crashes.
I'm like, dude, you're high. You're Tiger Woods.
Yeah. Usually people are like, sorry, I got off the phone with Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Tiger's saying I got off the phone with the president of the United States. Oh, that is such a good point. You're Tiger Woods and you're name dropping. And by the way, there's only like a couple of people on the planet Tiger Woods can name drop for it to matter.
Right.
And one of them happens to be the president of the United States, who's the ex-father-in-law of his girlfriend. Wow. Make it make sense. Let 'em play, a new initiative on the Kansas side of the state line. We'll share with you and talk about next. Let her play. That is the initiative that is being considered by KSHA, the Kansas State High School Activities Association, ahead of a vote on April 23rd as to whether or not the state of Kansas will officially sanction girls' flag football statewide. I don't know what's not to like about this. Between two of us on this show, we have 6 daughters. So we've got some skin in the game here. Not that I think anyone who's part of my lineage is going to be the female Patrick Mahomes. Mark may feel differently about himself, but I'm not naive to what my limitations are here.
Brielle was really good at the punt, pass, and kick at her elementary school, but she was too busy with soccer and basketball to get into flag football when she was in 6th grade.
Where did she get her athletic ability?
That's a good question. I was okay back in the day, but
I know, like you were. I know. I'm not knocking you. It's got to come from your wife because Mark, she's a good athlete. And, you're all right. I mean, do you have a brother or someone in the family that's just a star athlete?
Not really. She just is doing her own thing.
Are you sure? Have you done a DNA test?
Yes.
Okay.
No, well, I haven't done a DNA test, but yes.
I'm just curious.
Sometimes things skip a generation.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't know where she got it, but Mark's got a rock star athlete and student there. I want to know where she got the brains from, too, Mark. That's what I want to know. Jeez.
That was Mom for sure.
Okay, right answer. Good job. Correct answer there, Mark. All right. So here's the initiative. Let her play. It's growing around the country, and there's a big push by the Chiefs. They're ramping up their support for Let Her Play ahead of this vote on April 23rd in Kansas. Chiefs President Mark Donovan spoke about it yesterday, and here's part of what he had to say.
Let Her Play is really a campaign around giving girls the opportunity to play this great sport of football and play it in flag. It's something we've been working on for over 6 years, developing pilot programs, creating flag leagues, and we've got thousands and thousands of girls playing flag football. I don't think there's a good understanding right now in the Kansas market, in this market, about how big flag football is today and how big it's going to be. There are over 20 million people playing flag football worldwide right now. Over 500,000 girls, 6 to 17, playing flag football. And right now, a girl in Kansas can't play for a state championship and can't play organized high school flag football.
So what's the downside here? There is none. And by the way, it also creates more opportunities for young women when it comes to potentially college. Like right now, the only women's sport that really makes any money is women's basketball if you have a top-tier program. If you have a top-tier program. If you find yourself a Caitlin Clark, obviously you're going to be okay. Now, that's a once-in-a-generation. But my point is, if you have decent women's basketball, you can make a little money. But outside of that, the women's sports are in a world of hurt right now. And I believe that with the rise of NIL and with so much money getting pumped in to football and men's basketball, you're going to see some Olympic sports get cut. You're going to see the rowing team fall by the wayside. You're going to have some cuts maybe to, track and field, certain events like javelin. Sorry, we're not getting the javelin team around anymore. That's fallen by the wayside. And I say that as a track and field guy, but honestly, who needs javelin? Really? I need you throwing a stick? I don't need that. So this creates an opportunity for women, and I could see this being wildly popular as well. Like I could see it being a sport because we are a football-addicted culture that creates NIL opportunities for women. Let's be honest. There's more to it than just what goes on the field with NIL for men and for women. Okay? There are guys getting NIL deals in college football who are like third-string quarterbacks because they're good-looking guys or they've got a funny name or something like that. Like we've talked about this before on the show. What was the guy's name? The Oklahoma third-string quarterback. His name was General Booty. Remember him?
General Booty, yes.
Literally, that's his name. That's his.
Sky's the limit on marketing opportunities here.
Exactly. And he got a lot of NIL money. So now this NIL game in college sports is not just about like who's a really good athlete. There's other elements to it. We've seen women's college basketball players who aren't necessarily the best basketball players, but they'll make NIL revenue because, they might have a massive Instagram following. If you tap that into women's flag football and you're going it in Kansas, why not? What's not to like about this? I can't find any downside.
No, I'm with you there. It's like being the big fish in the little pond will get you NIL money if you're from, say, Smithville, and the Ford dealer wants to pop money, there
Bingo.
you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it just gives young girls another opportunity to do something and play something. So what's not to like?
Not that everybody's going to have a, professional athlete in the system, but they're going to make a professional women's flag football league soon, and they're going to have Olympics, so there's that too.
You're right. Flag football is set to make its Olympic debut in 2028. Is that men and women or just women?
I believe both.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, I think the sport in general has a high ceiling, obviously, but it'll be especially beneficial for women and girls.
Alex is on KCMO first up. What's up, Alex?
Morning. Hey, at a time when we're all outraged about paying our school taxes, our local taxes, state taxes, and everything like this, why don't they just keep it in the rec leagues? I remember back in middle school, high school, I wanted to start.
You cut out on me, Alex. In high school, you were going down memory lane. What did you miss out on? Who screwed you in high school? What happened?
Hey, they said that we couldn't create a boys volleyball because of the cost. Well, here we are 15 years later, and, we don't need a girls flag football high school association league. Keep it in the rec. We don't want to pay for it.
Well, here's the thing. You're giving the schools an excuse by saying it's got to cost a lot of money. Why does this have to cost money?
Well, because it's Kansas, and that's how the schools like to play the game. The more things that they got going on, the more money they're going to want. Next thing you know, they're going to need a girls' football field to play 8 games of flag football every year.
So to your point, let's not let the schools get away with complaining about money. Let's tell the clowns that run these places that you're going to fit the sport in. And you know what? It doesn't need to cost you millions of dollars no matter what you tell us. Don't hurt the kids because these schools don't know how to function in a reasonable budget.
It's never going to work, Pete.
What's that?
People quit. It's never going to work until people quit voting yes on silly bonds to increase taxes and mill levies and everything else. You're just going to keep paying for it no matter what. They're going to keep getting away with it.
Listen, I understand what you're saying. We agree in terms of how lame these administrations are when it comes to like the cell phone ban here. All the Johnson County administrators are like, how are we going to enforce it? Blue Valley says it's going to cost millions of dollars to enforce a cell phone ban. You already have a cell phone ban. What are you crying about? Get it done. Don't hurt the kids because these schools like to use every excuse in the book to cry poor. Matt's in Olathe. What's up, Matt?
Hi there. Yeah, I've got a daughter, Phoebe, at Olathe South, and we've got a flag football team there at Olathe South, but it's not ASHA regulated. She was a starting freshman guard for Olathe South this varsity year, and also she was the starting quarterback for the Olathe South girls flag football team. But we're hoping that this next year that it will be ASHA regulated. For your point, that she could be able to play for a state championship, have more college scholarship opportunities than just basketball, but we're pretty excited about the prospect. I'd love to get on board with this.
So what, with it not being KSHA regulated right now, what does that mean? Like, what is it? Just they don't keep standings and have state championships, and they just play games, or is there something else that it means?
Correct, yeah. So it's not an official KSHA sport, so it's almost like a rec league, but there were many different Olathe schools, different Blue Valley, or I don't think Blue Valley, but different high schools around the area that we would play. So we were officially playing other high schools, but it was not KSHA regulated to where we could actually play for the state championship. I think Olathe East actually has some flag football fields that we played most of our games on.
Were there, obviously you had officials though through the schools, right?
Yes, there were officials. They looked like they were just kind of all figuring it out as well.
Gotcha.
But, hopefully we can get this thing a little bit more tuned up there and have this be a little bit more legit. More opportunity for the girls. My girl loves it, and she can knock a 40-yard pass down the field and hit a girl in stride. So
that's big time. So what are the college opportunities like right now? I mean, I know you're early in the process, but like, what are you hearing?
I want to know more about it. It was kind of something we stumbled into at the last minute, where the assistant football or basketball coach saw my daughter throw a basketball down the court and nail a girl for a layup, and like, hey, you know what? We got a little rec flag football team that could be something, and next year it might be Keisha. Why don't you see if you can come and try out and maybe even be the quarterback? And it worked out great for Phoebe.
That's fantastic. Well, shout out to Phoebe there, Matt. That's awesome, and I'm hoping this thing's going to pass here in a couple of weeks for you and for many others.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it, Pete. Thanks, brother. Have a great day. God bless.
You too, my man. You too. That's awesome. I love that story from Matt. Mike's also in Olathe. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, I've been in education, and a long time, but the percentage of budgets that now go towards athletics, varsity athletics, and all athletics is so minimal right now. And so that's why they don't get uniforms every year. So they're just basically trying to scrape by, like you said, to pay officials and such. When we were in Texas, my oldest boy played Division I baseball, but in high school, each booster club for each sport raised anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000. The parents got involved, all levels. So that's how they did it there to offset the lack of money. And we could buy new uniforms and fix an outfield fence and put AstroTurf behind home plate. You had to get parents involved and the community and all levels, freshman through senior. Everybody wanted to be in that program. Then they all put up and they helped and they did whatever they could to raise money, and you had different ways to do that. So it's different in Texas. They literally, every school raises a ton of money for each sport. Different world down there, but we could do it here, and that would offset some of the cost factors that might prevent these things from going forward.
So it was like real life Friday Night Lights, where you got your car dealer chipping in $100K for the booster club for high school football, which is just, astronomical money, but that's what's going on down there.
Right, and then like each sport had a niche. We had a big, huge 3-day, fair where people brought booths in and kiosks, and we filled up 3 gymnasiums and literally raised $100,000 a year for just the baseball program. And that's what other sports did. They just found a niche, and that's what they did. It maybe wasn't that much, but I guarantee you football had to raise some money down there because it's not cheap. But they spend money on football. The other sports are sort of on your own.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Mike. Good stuff there, man. Mark Donovan, Chiefs president, once again, they're supporting this vote. April 23rd, Keisha voting on making girls flag football an official Keisha-sponsored sport in Kansas. Here's more of Mark Donovan, Chiefs president.
What this vote does is give them that opportunity. And think about this. You've got a chance now in the state of Kansas where a high school girl can play for a state championship and then can qualify for a full-ride scholarship to have college paid for and play in college. Take that to the next level and play in the Olympics for a gold medal representing the U.S. And then potentially, based on a vote we did a couple of days ago in Florida, the NFL will actually fund a brand new pro women's flag football league. So the opportunity exists today for girls across this country to be able to do all those things, but it doesn't exist in the state of Kansas for a girl to play in high school. And all this vote does is it gives them that opportunity. It doesn't require high schools to start teams, but it gives the high schools that want the opportunity to play for this to be able to do it.
That's from Mark Donovan talking yesterday to the media. On the text line, Pete, girl in Lee's Summit already got NAIA flag football scholarship offer, a D1 probably by next year. That's pretty cool. I like that. I really see a ton of upside here. I think it could really grow.
Yeah, I like this. It's a physical activity because gaming, just electronics, had been doing well, too, and been the boom thing. But this is maybe the new thing to do, and gaming is so last year.
I know.
I could see also why the Chiefs are getting into this because, their new facility in Olathe, they're going to be able to host the women's flag football championship game at their new facility in Olathe, right? There's a little bit of that in it.
Gee, Maha.
Stop trying to ruin this by bringing it back to the stupid stadium, Mark. Okay? Goodness.
I'm just saying. Donovan, that's part of his plan. He's not saying it there, but.
Listen, there's no doubt Donovan's trying to look like a good guy to Kansas. He still ripped everybody. Listen, I'm not even mad at Mark. I'm not mad at the Chiefs. I've said this since day one. Mad at the politicians. That's it. They're the ones that allowed Kansas to get ripped off. Donovan's like, boy, these guys, wow, they're going to give us all this up. Okay, we're going. We love Kansas. Woo! 913-408-7957 is our text line and our studio line. Oh, no. On the text line, Pete, I'm laughing as I hear Mark Donovan talk about women's flag football, knowing full well, we're going to get some washed up NFL dudes trying out and identifying as women. No!
Colin
no!
Kaepernick,
Say it ain't so. Yeah, Kaepernick's coming to Kansas.
Colleen Kaepernick.
Two claps and a Ric Flair.
Oh, geez. There you go. We got more coming up on KCMO.
Vince Colonnese here. Join me for your lunch hour from 11 to 2 on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Kansas City Star had a column this morning that included this show and some comments from myself regarding the race up north between Chris DeGaulle and Nathan Willett. So this came from the reporter who was up there. Name is David Hundle, and he writes here, in Kansas City suburbs, a sleepy congressional race is suddenly wide awake. David Hundle, who was the reporter who I talked to briefly after Nathan Willett's kickoff event the other night. I was the MC there. He wrote a story, and he kind of highlighted the Nathan Willett, Kansas City councilman angle of the story and why he's running for Congress to replace Sam Graves. Talked about, obviously, Chris DeGaulle being in this race as well, of course, our former colleague. And, they wrote here, and he quoted me correctly. He writes here, Pete Mundo, local radio host who emceed the night, found himself in a somewhat awkward position. He agreed to the gig weeks earlier when the race was for state senate. Now he's introducing a candidate running against a friend and a former colleague in DeGaulle. He notes here, Mundo emphasized afterward that his presence should not be construed as an endorsement, saying, quote, I like both guys. I told them both, whoever wins, I'm happy for you. And that's what I told you since this came down 1 week ago today. It was 1 week ago today at this time, Chris was on the show announcing he's running for Congress. And I'm like, okay, that's news to me. I had no idea that was coming. Nathan Willett had been, thinking about this for quite some time, I know, and decided that he was going to run too. And obviously they'll have a good primary up there in the Northland. But I like both guys. I'm not picking a side in this thing. They'll both be on the show. You'll hear from them. And we'll cover the race, I think, fairly. When they have good moments, we'll talk about it. When they have bad moments, we'll talk about it. And they'll both have good and bad moments because they're human beings running for office, John.
Yeah. It's just you and me here, though.
I know.
Nobody's listening. So
I know.
What do you really think?
No, no. I'll tell you what I really think,
right?
Man. I'm
Several
gonna be,
times over, you will repeat this, right?
I'm gonna be transparent.
Yeah.
If I think that Chris has a great moment, I'll say it. If he's had a goofy moment, I'll say it. And same thing with Nathan. I mean, Randy Miller announces this morning he's running for office. Another former radio guy. Every radio guy in this town's running for office, doing something. You got this guy Fartsel, who was on public radio and worked with Mark at a now defunct alt rock radio station. He's running for office. Randy Miller's running for office. DeGaulle's running for office. I'm like the only guy with a microphone not running for office around here. Which, by the way, I'm telling you, this is a lot more fun. I promise you that much. All right? It's a lot more fun.
I worked at the Laser in Lawrence when Hank Booth ran for office, and so he had to remove himself from, couldn't even come into work for the whole period of time that he was up for the office.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's dicey if you're actively on radio and then would run for office. You'll have to remove yourself.
And that's what Chris did. He's off the air as of this week. So it's just crazy. It's crazy. But it's going to be a great race up there in the Northland, and I can't wait to follow it and see how it plays out. Coming up, we got a jobs report this morning. What does it mean for the markets? How does the war impact the markets as well? Mark Falter on that and more right after the news.
from the nation's heartland. You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Well, the markets are not open today due to a Good Friday, but we did get a jobs number that dropped this morning, exceeding expectations. 178,000 jobs added in March. The expectations were for less than half of that, at about 70,000. Talk about that and everything else going on. Mark Falter is here, Mid-American Wealth Advisory Group, and of course, hear his show, Retirement Income Hour, Saturday mornings at 7 and 9 and Sunday mornings at 9. Mark, good morning. Great to have you on the show. Let's just touch on the jobs number from last hour and your reaction to that.
Yeah, inflation has been kind of holding steady. Inflation, I meant unemployment.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. And unemployment's been holding steady. It was like 4.3. It's now, it's been hovering between 4.3 and 4.4 for the last 3 months. And so that is, in my humble opinion, what's the word? It's kind of the thing holding everything together. That, there's a lot of inflationary pressures, potential Fed hiking, market down. I talked about this months ago, and it's kind of happening. But the thing that seems to be holding it together is employment. So that's a very good thing, and hopefully it will stay that way.
So then what is the thing right now that concerns you the most?
Oh, without question, it's kind of like what I talked about, and that is we had a bubble formulating, and now we're seeing the bubble deflate. Now, do I think it's going to be a 50% decline? No, but I think we could definitely see, heck, we're already down 8 or 9 on the markets. I think we could see as far as 20% down, arguably more. I don't know that it was going to go that far. And the AI, there was just so much debt with some of these companies, and I think you're going to see it be kind of like a little mini 1999. Very, very, very good time for somebody over 60 to reallocate and take some chips off the table. And for that 20, 30-year-old, get ready to buy, because it's this is when you actually, for that 20 or 30-year-old that's running scared, the opposite thing you want to do. This is when you make your money in the market.
So what's the triggering event, though? Because is it the debt from the AI companies where eventually the chickens come home to roost, or is it
100%?
So which has nothing to
exactly
do
with
the war.
No, the war is not helping, and the war is driving gas prices up, and it's causing what we see to be the equivalent of inflation, because gas prices are going up. And if you think about it, I mean, that's, for the average American, that's probably in the top 3 things that they spend money on every month consistently that's going up in price. And ultimately, it's going to then affect probably even the higher one than gas is food. It's going to ultimately work its way into food, and then it's going to work its way into fast food. Then it's going to work its way into, groceries, because all of that stuff has gas prices in it. You got to get that stuff to the store. So it's going to continue to do that. I don't quite understand that, because we got tons of oil. I think it's, we have tons of oil, and now we got other countries' oil, but it's the way things are going. Gas prices are going up.
And is that driven by, just because it's a global market where even if, we've got good production here, those companies, they can sell it all over the world, and that's just a supply and demand thing globally? Is it as simple as that as to why these gas prices keep going up?
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, that's the area that I get a little dicey on, but I almost think that in about 3 or 4 months, people are going to be realizing, oh, crud, we got a lot of oil. We got Venezuela's oil. We got all this, and it's really not that bad. But it's driving it up, and I think it's more of a reactionary thing right now. So we have beat the living crud out of Iran, that is for sure, and I don't think we're quite done yet. So
now, what does this jobs report mean this morning, along with what's going on with the war, when it comes to interest rates and how that can impact mortgage rates?
Yeah, I think what you're seeing is mortgage rates up, and I think the Fed is going to be, I don't know what they're going to do, man. They're now, my thoughts of them lowering have diminished. I think potentially we could see a rate hike to try to, with inflationary pressure and all that stuff, trying to slow that down. And that would not be good for home sales for sure. Because what you got now is you got that 30-year-old, 40-year-old couple, things are tightening up and rates are going up. It's like, geez almighty, it's going to start slowing down real estate. I think we could see a mini recession happen for sure. This year. And I think, again, one of the biggest reasons is I don't know that we understand the magnitude of the amount of debt that these AI companies, because what the thing is everybody is wanting to be the front runner. And so it takes a ton of money. And it is kind of cool because you get some of these AI apps that are free, and it is absolutely amazing what these things can figure out for you in seconds that used to take you hours to do, and they want to be the front runner. And so they figure we'll make it back, but some I think won't and some will. And
Well, this is where a guy like you makes his money. Which ones will and which one won't, Mark Falter? That's the $1 trillion question here.
The key to success there, Pete, is diversification. I'm not kidding. Actually.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You hedge your bet on each side.
That's so true. That's so true. Mark Falter's joining us on KCMO Talk Radio. Okay, so as we go through the year, I mean, listen, we've sat here for 3 years now, and we've talked about is this the year we get the big pullback, and it hasn't happened the last couple of years. There are warning signs out there, though, that this year could be different. What are the things in the months to come that you'll be watching that could signal, hey, that 20% pullback is finally here?
I think the debt of companies and what's going on with AI. AI is the new .com, and it's the debt of these companies. We really dig in deep and look at what's going on the books of some of the high-flying stocks and what's the success rate, what could happen if worst-case scenario, kind of like what we had to do during COVID. During COVID, it was an interesting time. You had to get into some of these companies because we buy a lot of fixed income vehicles, meaning they produce dividends and interest. So we really, really care about the fact of how much money is this company making, how much cash are they sitting on, things like that. And that's why we use the Bloomberg terminals and dig into what we look at. Our clients are actually up slightly so far this year, but we do a lot of fixed income, and our clients are in it for the dividends and interest, most of the people that are investing with us. So it actually doesn't make for a terrible year with us. But economically, those that are in 70, 80%, I tell you, the retiree that's 65 years old, here's what my concern is. And again, we try to avoid this in our practice, but that 65-year-old is 2 to 3 years out from retirement, or even just retired, they need to Google what could happen if I get a bad sequence of returns my first 10 years in retirement. It can be catastrophic. I mean, in 1990, if you'd had $1 million, pulled $40,000 a year out of it for income, all the way to year 2000, you'd have made money. But do it again the next 10 years, and you'd have turned it into under $400,000 because of a bad sequence of returns in the market. And I think we could see one this year.
Well, it's so true. Like, I sit here in my mid to late 30s. I mean, none of this really. Listen, I don't want anything to go down, but to your point, you just keep doing your thing, and you wake up one day and you're 60 and you should be in a pretty good spot. But when I hear from people, and because of the politics and everything else, oh boy, Trump's killing me, and it's from a 60-year-old guy who's like, about to retire, it's like, you should not be playing this game anyway. I mean,
you're killing yourself.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with Trump. You're getting greedy, thinking you're gonna ride these big tech stocks to the moon.
I'm telling you, Pete, if we have seen one thing through office, because we get a lot of people in from other advisors, and we see what's going on, and it's not all the advisors' fault. People, retirees, I'm talking not people in general. I'm talking 60, 65, 70. They have been getting very optimistic in the last 3 years. Let's put it that. I won't say greedy, but very optimistic. And we've been telling them, guys, dude, this is going to pull back. It's going to pull back, and it's pulling back, and I think it could get worse. I would, if I was a betting man, I'd definitely bet on it getting worse before it gets better this year, at least. And I would not want to be dealing with that at 67 or 68.
Yeah, it's a good point. Hey, Mark, keep up the great work. We'll be following, we'll be watching, and we'll be listening tomorrow at 7 and 9 to Retirement Income Hour. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks. See ya.
Have a great day. Mark Falter, Retirement Income Hour, 7 and 9 on Saturday mornings, and then again Sunday mornings right here on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM, Mid-America Wealth Advisory Group. Okay, with that, we'll do some buy, sell, hold coming up. Have some fun as we roll till 10 o'clock. Lauren Magarino is going to be here in studio. She's going to be our feature Friday guest. She's approaching 1 year alongside Brad Stevens on the KCTV5 Nightly News. We look forward to having her here at 9 o'clock on KCMO.
from Overland Park to Parkville. You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
8:50 on a Friday morning on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. We are streaming, as always, on the KCMO Talk Radio app as we roll till 10 o'clock. And you know what happens then? That is when Kevin Keatsman, of course, takes over with Uncanceled. So here we go. Let's do it on Buy, Sell, Hold.
It's time to buy, sell,
Have it at end, 12 and a half, 15.
and hold.
Sponsored by KCP, are the experts in foundation repair. Don't buy, sell, or hold your home without an inspection from kcpier.com. John, what do you have on Buy, Sell, Hold, my man?
Buy, sell, or hold. Tiger was talking to the president.
Oh, my gosh.
Tiger Woods got busted.
Yeah, did you see this? Dropped from TMZ yesterday. I'll play the video. After Tiger Woods got into this car crash on Friday, the body cam video from the cop shows Tiger walking towards the police officer on the phone, and he just casually name drops the president of the United States. By the way, I'm selling this.
Here with us, please. Get you to hang out down here with us, please.
Thank you so much. All right. You got it. All right. Thank you. Bye. Say again?
Just keep you down here with us, please.
Yeah, I was just talking to the president. Trying to get away from those.
Yeah, just talking to the president.
Go down here so you don't hear it.
Yeah, it's Don on the line, just catching up, making sure he knows where I'm at and what's
so you
going
don't
on.
think Trump would validate this, huh?
I have a feeling that this did not actually
Tiger
happen.
called me, sir. Sir, you'll see something on the news.
No, I think that Tiger was just, listen, it's sad. I'm glad he's getting help. I think that he freaked out. He was clearly not well. He was high on something. Looks like some kind of a pain pill. And like many people who are not well in that moment, what do? You try to find some excuse that you think sounds really good at the time, and you name drop the president of the United States to the cop as if that's going to do anything in 2026 when these cops all have body cameras on. Like, what'd you think? The cop was going to be like, oh, boy, well, tell him I said hello, and can I get an autograph next time he's down here? And you know what, Tiger, you just walk away from that car crash and go on your merry way, all right? Get that cleaned up, and we'll see you around, buddy. What did he think was going to happen there? And, by the way, you can't do that with these cops when they have the body cameras. Like, when I got pulled over in November, a couple of you called in and you were like, come on, they didn't listen to the show. I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. What are we going to do? Crank the radio and hope a promo of me is playing over the air while the cop pulls up to my car and says, sir, I need your ID. I need your license. I need your insurance card. You hear this guy? No, you just kind of do what you're told. You don't try to big time them like that.
Well, the funny thing is, it's a double-edged sword when you're in this business, too.
I know.
The listeners think, if I say, hey, I'm John Anthony, the double slap.
Yeah.
I'm going downtown now, right?
You were going
we got
10
some
over?
state charges, some
Yeah.
fed charges.
I'm going to hit you with 20 over instead of 10 over. So you just keep your mouth shut and do what you're told, man. What's next?
Buy, sell, or hold. Carter Jensen's new alarm should be a civil defense siren.
I'm going to sell that because all he needs to do is do what most normal people do, and that's set more than one alarm. That's all he's got to do. Royals backup catcher did not wake up yesterday for the early morning game. He was in the lineup in place of Salvador Perez, who was going to be the DH yesterday because catchers typically will not catch the day game after a night game. And he's getting roasted. He was on the cover of not the cover, but he was on the front page of the New York Post for not showing up in time yesterday because he said he slept through his alarm. Now, I was shocked to learn that John and Mark only rely on one alarm. I have 4. So
I'm a question about that because I operate on the one alarm theory. It's like if you don't hear one, well, why would you hear 2, 3, or 4? Do you have different volumes and they're different places? What's your strategy?
My strategy is this. They are different sounds at different times.
Mm-hmm.
And if I hit the snooze on the first one, the second one will go off 2 minutes after the snooze on the first one. So they're staggered in a way where if I hit snooze and then miss it again, 2 minutes later, a different sound comes on the phone. And then 7 minutes after that, a minute before that snooze would happen, a third sound comes on the phone. And then the Alexa is set up with its own system as the backup to the backup to the backup. So maybe I'm crazy, but I don't. Here's the thing. I do it for you guys. I don't want to leave you hanging here.
Well, touche. Appreciate that.
I had a nightmare the other day that I woke up at 7:30 and I came in here at 8 o'clock and you guys were like totally unfazed. Like you were not at all bothered. You didn't call me. I was like, why didn't someone call me?
Yeah, he'll be here when he gets here.
Exactly. And that was the attitude from both of
Who's
you.
that naked guy running around the building?
It was the strangest dream because I'm like, I wasn't here for 2 hours and these guys were like totally unfazed.
Well, it took a second or two for the sphincter to unpucker when you woke up, right? You're like, whoa. Ooh.
Yeah. And
That
it was like
close.
it was like 2 a.m. when I woke up too. So it was crazy.
There you go. All right. Buy, sell, or hold Mark's Final Four parlay.
All right, Mark, you got a little parlay for me here with Arizona playing Michigan tomorrow and then Illinois and UConn as well.
Yes, it's very simple today. Only going to pick the games because, you know what, it's the Final Four. So I'm actually cheering for Illinois and Arizona to win these games. But for my parlay, I'm taking Connecticut to win the game at plus money. And then I'm going to go Michigan State minus 1.5, so they have to win by 2 points or more at plus 100. So $10 to win, $43.20.
Michigan minus 1.5, Connecticut money line.
Yep.
Okay. Now, you're doing this because you're basically hedging yourself. You're rooting for the other two teams, but you're like, hey, if my teams don't win, at least I make a little cheese off of this.
Hopefully. Unless they go 1-1.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, there is something here that could work out against you. Well, I'm going to sell it because I don't want to see this national championship game, Mark.
That's fine. I'm with you.
I'm rooting for Arizona and Illinois. That's the championship game I want to see, and that's what I think the championship game's going to be. So,
just bet opposite of me then.
Yeah. Well, but here's the thing. I'm betting on also what you want to see happen. That's the weird part of all this.
I like it.
All right. Sorry, Mark. I'm selling this one, big guy. I'm
totally
out.
fine with it.
I know you are. Strange. No buy, sell, and hold on Randy Miller beating Mark Alford in November. That's a quick sell. Yeah, quick sell. Okay, coming up, Lauren Magarino is going to be here. They've got a lot of cool things going on at Channel 5. They've got a new Sunday show I was a part of a couple of weeks ago. She's almost a year into being here in Kansas City, went to Mizzou as well. She will join us in studio next. been over a year. I didn't realize that. Lauren Magarino is joining us on KCMO. You watch her on KCTV5, of course, our TV partner here at KCMO Talk Radio. You hear the great Luke Doris, weather forecasts every morning. She is alongside Brad Stevens every night. She's joining us as our Feature Friday guest. There's a lot going on with the station, with the show that she's doing on Sundays. We'll talk about all that. Lauren, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So let's just start off. A year in Kansas City. For people that don't know, you are a Mizzou grad. You were in Chicago, Atlanta, and now just over a year in Kansas City. What's been the best part of that first year on the job?
Oh, my God. Hitting the ground running and just being able to take in all that is Kansas City and meeting folks. I mean, it's been a whirlwind, and throughout all of that, I have somehow felt incredibly grounded just because of the fact that people are nice. You know, they're very kind. Being able to get to know different parts of the community through the storytelling, of course, and learning along the way has been awesome. And then there are all these events, that we participate in. I mean, we met, at July 4th, and that was an awesome time doing stuff like that, down to the fundraising efforts that we're part of within the community, different, organizations. So I was actually thinking, my gosh, it's been a year, it's flown. And I'm coming up on now the second time of doing things like Variety KC's, inclusion gala and participating in some new events, which I know we'll talk about as well. But I mean, it's just been incredible. I think I have talked about how sometimes you feel whether or not you resonate with a place pretty quickly. It's kind of like an energy thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it didn't take a lot of time for me to move here, get settled, and feel comfortable and welcomed.
So you say it like, there's nice people here, as if Chicago and Atlanta don't have nice people. I mean, you say it like you're kind of surprised by that.
No.
So what does it say about Chicago and Atlanta?
You know what? I knew that Kansas City was special. I have to say, when I was at Mizzou, and he used to be part of our sports team at KCTV5. His name's Jared Kohler. I went to college with him. So if anybody, everybody knows Jared, he's my buddy. And so when I was considering coming here, I called him immediately. I was like, I need to know everything. But one thing about Jared is, since I met him, he was like, Kansas City is the best place on earth. He has always been such a rep for this city. And so I always remembered that. I remember visiting. So I remember how I felt when I came here for the first time and really enjoying it. So I guess it's less that Chicago and Atlanta, that they aren't nice. It's just remembering how I felt here, and how positive that was. But no, I mean, Chicago and Atlanta, they're great. They're great. I don't miss the Atlanta traffic.
Yeah.
Not to be cliche, but I seriously do not miss that at all.
I heard it's horrible.
It's bad. I tried to.
Like, how bad are we talking? Like, how far to get how far? Like, what stands out to you?
I mean, if you really, I'll put it to you this way. I tried to keep myself in a bubble within my little community within the city because I didn't want to deal with it. But if you wanted to sometimes run a couple errands, I mean, you'd be an hour, 2 hours just trying to get things done. Most of that being stuck in the car. The highways were wild. I don't think people drive very well, but I'm also from Miami, and maybe, I don't know, I learned how to defensive drive. I'll put it that way.
That's very good. It's almost like Atlanta's grown too quickly for its own good. Is what it seems like happened.
I guess it can be a good problem to have. I mean, there's so much diversity and amazing things that are happening there as far as, restaurant scene really growing in Atlanta. The arts scene has always been established, and that has also continued to grow. So there's a lot of cultural factors that I enjoyed being in Atlanta. You just had to get over the fact that to get to any of them, it was going to be a process, and you had to plan accordingly.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what's it worth if you can't get anywhere?
Right.
That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
So you grow up in Florida, you go to Mizzou. So is it fair to say you go to Mizzou because this is what you wanted your career to be the whole time?
So what's funny is I've just always been somebody who's passionate about learning and reading and writing and then talking with people. I was like that kid that was just talking all the time and talking to adults a lot. I was just curious. So I tried to figure out, what can I do that blended all of those things together. And really, toward the end of my high school career, I felt like I stumbled or fell into journalism. And so, I don't know, I did what a 17-year-old would do, which was let me Google the top 10 schools for journalism. And at that point in time, Mizzou was number one. I was like, I'm from Miami. I don't know much about Missouri. I don't know where Columbia is. And we took a trip to go and visit. And it had to be around spring break because the campus was pretty empty. There weren't leaves on the trees. And anybody who knows Mizzou, I mean, it's like a botanical garden. It's gorgeous when it's full and blooming or fall time. So it was pretty bare. And even then, I just fell in love with it. And so that is what sent me to Mizzou. It was the program. It was just knowing that this is what I want to pursue. But if I wanted to change my mind, the backup was becoming a vet. And they do have a veterinarian program there.
Gotcha.
So
okay,
that was
so you kind of hedged yourself a little bit.
Yeah, can't help it. I'm a planner.
So was there anything or anywhere else you were considering, or was it like Mizzou or bust?
It was I knew I wanted to get out of Florida. I always wanted an out-of-state experience if possible, just because why not? You know, if you could do it, have that experience. I do remember applying to some schools that were out in California, Emerson, that was Boston, but it was pretty much Mizzou.
It really was. Okay.
Yeah.
So 4 years at Mizzou, your first job's in Chicago. That's a cultural jump too in and of itself.
Yes.
Miami, Mizzou, and then getting even colder and big, and bigger in Chicago. Yeah. So that job comes up. You're there for 5 years in Chicago, and it sounds like you did a little bit of everything in Chicago.
Right. So I got hired as an anchor and a producer. So I was coming into an environment where it was pretty much a startup. I mean, the company had existed for some time. It was acquired by Scripps Networks, and they, at the time, were beginning to launch their national network. They wanted their own national arm. And so start from scratch, basically. And I had an hour that I was responsible for, to build a news hour, and then front end, and I would work with the producer on the back end to get that done. And that's where it started. But that was just the beginning. As the company continued to grow and scale the product of what we were working on, you add more hours, you get moved around. And so I found myself getting blended into some reporting as well. I've always, from my education, have really enjoyed reporting, being able to be on the ground, get out of the studio, meet people where they are, see issues or good things up close. And I was able to do some of that as well. So, it was a little bit of everything. And it was, in many ways, flexing a lot of muscles, which was good, and challenging, but pretty rewarding to see things come into fruition. And I learned a lot.
Yeah. No, that's a great kind of first 5 years there.
Yeah.
Lauren Magarino, KCTV5 is here on KCMO. Watch her alongside Brad Stevens every weeknight. So what about, your first year here in Kansas City, I think is interesting because you're taking over for Carolyn Long, who's like this staple on TV in Kansas City. And that's always a difficult thing to do, following the person who's been there for a very long time and has all that market equity. I know you overlapped with Carolyn. She's great. What advice did she give you before she exited?
She was just, first of all, I would say that she led by example and in her behavior and how she carried herself. So more than words, even though we're both people who can talk, to anyone, I felt what I learned from her was about her energy, how she maintained her energy, how everybody, she was able to make everybody feel like a friend.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that about her, and how I saw her demonstrate that no matter who I saw her with, if it was an event, within the newsroom. And that is a light that maybe, I don't know if you feel this way. You don't always see it sometimes, and especially for folks who have been in this career for quite some time. I feel like it's such a blessing to be able to see something like that. So that was my first takeaway with her, that she didn't even have to speak to me and give me that nugget of wisdom. It was how she carried herself. But I would say that she really was very clear on understanding the community, connecting with the community. For her big thing was the events, the fundraisers, giving back in that way. And so we talked a lot about that. We talked a lot about the ability to be flexible with the news cycle, which we're pretty used to as journalists, but we spent time talking about, the tragedies that have happened here, the Chiefs rally with the shooting, things like that, and what that meant for the community. So you talked about her market capital, of being here, and she kind of laid it down for me, on how impactful that was. I remember being in Atlanta and seeing that story break and going into coverage about that because it was a huge deal. And so to speak to her about the ripple effects of that within the community, that was another thing as well. So she gave me some of the highlights and the positive, also the lowlights and the pain points for the community, and really just serving as an example on how to navigate with people in an authentic way.
Yes. Well, I was going to ask because you got to be real. You're going up. Let's be honest. You got 3 other stations you're going up against. People have choices. You're the new person on the block, so to speak. But now you've got Brad by your side. Obviously, that's great. He's been here for a long time. But what's your strategy in like trying to figure out how to navigate those waters and gain that credibility while also not overstepping, your bounds, so to speak?
Absolutely. To me, the important part is the reporting. Before I even accepted the job, one of the things that I had discussed with our news management, which they are amazing and were like, yep, this makes sense, is being able to report. I think it's very important to not be locked behind the desk the entire time. I think that when you're able to go out, and whether that's for interviews or turning some stories or event coverage, live event coverage, whatever it might be, that's very important because that's where you can actually meet people and begin to understand the dynamics, from whatever neighborhood you're going into. So that was a key part for me, was making sure that that was understood, that this is part of the strategy, that I'm part of our special projects team where we're able to do that. My colleagues, Zach Summers and Sharon Chen, they're also part of this team. So we all really value being able to get out there ourselves and do that work. We're a team. It's not just the reporters that are on the ground. It's also the anchors as well. And I do think that lends a hand to building credibility and for folks to see that, we're not just reading off a prompter in a studio.
Yeah. But I think you're right. People see you out there, that they're recognizing you, you're getting a lay of the land, and that makes a big difference.
And answering questions.
Yes.
I mean, there's accountability factors. There's curiosities that maybe, we're trying to figure out. So a lot of it, I'm always thinking about what is the value for the viewer? What is the thing that they want to know? If I'm speaking, and, this is part of one of our newer shows, but, to certain lawmakers or folks in government, that there are real issues at hand that are affecting people on the daily. I'm just the conduit, So what can I ask to make sure that when I'm walking away, I feel like I was representative of the folks that I know who are watching, the questions that they may have, the answers that they're looking for, and that's my job. So I think all of that pours into that.
That's great. Lauren Magarino's here, KCTV5 anchor on KCMO, 1 year into the job. We are going to take a quick break, come back with some of the projects they're working on and more on her career as well next on KCMO.
from Smithville to Shawnee Mission. You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
We're back with our good friend and Feature Friday guest, Lauren Magarino, is joining us. You watch her on KCTV5 with Brad Stevens. She is just over a year into the position. And you've got a new show, Lauren, that you were kind enough to have me on a couple of weeks ago, Kansas City on the Record. It's your weekly public affairs programming. And, you know, we talked about the war, its impact on Kansas City a couple of weeks ago. What's been the strategy of that show that is airing right after or right before Face the Nation?
Right after Face the Nation.
Okay.
Yeah. So the strategy is, we all know in news, you've got such little time to try to get a lot of information across. And we had discussed the fact that we don't have a public affairs program. We don't really have a space to be able to unpack things for a longer period of time and to really dive deep. And so the strategy around it is pretty simple. It's just to be as informative as possible and go deeper on whatever issue or issues matter to our viewers. And so trying to be nimble with that, you know, timely with that, or also it doesn't even have to be something that happened within the week of the news cycle, but it just remains something that everybody's talking about and that we still need some context behind. So we take about 8 to 10 minutes to just pull thread on whatever issue. So when you came on, which I really appreciated that, it was such a great conversation, you know, talking about this conflict. I mean, there's so much there. We could have spent 2 hours talking about that. And so just to be able to unpack. The other component is being able to feature our special projects reporting. So I was talking about this a little bit earlier. You know, there are investigations that we take time to do, you know, our version of deep dives that are in a package form, so less interview style and more reporting, and being able to feature those pieces as well. They will air in our 10 o'clock news hour, and they're always available on our streaming platforms and online. I mean, there's a lot of places where you can find it, but we felt like that was another home for that kind of reporting, because for the folks who typically like public affairs and going in deep, I mean, you're going to get context within that. So that was another portion of it. And something that I really appreciate about this, because it is public affairs, is a new segment that we had launched, which is called The Heart of Kansas City. And this is purely highlighting, we talked about how kind people are, how awesome the community is, folks who are doing the small and big things that are making a difference for people, and being able to highlight that. So we have some sliver, and it's larger than a sliver, of positivity. I think, you know, a lot of times, understandably, folks will say, you know, I don't watch the news. It's too negative. It's so negative. It's like a weighted blanket. Fair. You know, we have to talk about things that are hard, but we should also highlight the amazing things that are happening. And so we also put that into our show as well. So the strategy really is just being thorough, being context driven, solutions focused. I'm really passionate about that. Yes, we're going to talk about problems, but this is not to harp on them. It's also to figure out, you know, what does it look like to move forward? And it's, of course, depending on the topic. But yeah, it's a blend of all of that.
What are you noticing in news in general? Like, what's the, all right, people say, hey, I don't want to stay up for the 10 o'clock news because it's negative and I don't want to go to bed in a bad mood. Like, what are you seeing? Is there a type of journalism or a type of project that you think is really getting more attention and is kind of like something that people really want more of these days?
Explainer.
Yeah.
Explainer journalism.
Okay.
You know, it's interesting because with reporting, you are explaining, but I think that for a while, our industry has had kind of a method to the madness.
Yep.
There are formats to storytelling, and sometimes they work. I mean, you know, it works. But what I've noticed personally is that people just want to have something explained to them in a simple way, in a way that doesn't waste their time, you know, because we don't have a lot of it. And we're running around, and we're also competing with so much input. I mean, news aside, just even any of us with our phone, I mean, the amount of notifications that you get, it's like a bombardment.
Yes.
So if you do get something and you are interested in something, it's like you just want it to be clean, simple, easy to understand, and I walk away knowing more.
Yes.
And so I find that the explainer style is taking off, really, in a way. And that's something that we are prioritizing at KCTV5 is not just the storytelling will never go away, but, you know, being like, instead of I'm going to talk to all these people, let me just explain to you what something is. So, for example, my colleague Zach Summers, he just released an investigation on the Kansas City earnings tax, the 1% tax, and fascinating story. I highly recommend watching it. You can find it online at kctv5.com. But separately, he also just turned an explainer piece explaining what it is. That's important because folks are about to vote on whether or not to keep this in place or not. And okay, they might be familiar with, I get it, 1% of my earnings, it's pretty, but spelling it out a little bit more, the implications, how has this worked? Where's it going towards? Things like that. So, that didn't require him to bring on all these sources to explain that. He just sat down and explained it.
I got two things I want to ask you here real quick. Do you have a favorite restaurant yet in Kansas City?
Oh my gosh, that's actually kind of hard. I find myself grabbing Garozzo's if I'm getting Italian. Their vodka, this is so specific, but their vodka sauce is, I could drink it. It's very good. Really good. And I'm going to go with that right now.
Okay. All right. That's good. And then also, I know you're doing a cool event with American Public Square.
Yes.
I've done some things with them. And it's going to be called Beyond the Border. So you're doing that with American Public Square. You're the host of the event. In the final minute or so, what do you want to get out of that? Because they do a very good job as well.
Yes. So Beyond the Border was actually a 6-month investigation that I had done on immigration enforcement here in Kansas City. And because of that reporting, American Public Square, they came to me, they said, listen, we have students, it's, from 10 different schools that put together this signature event to discuss a topic of their choosing. This year they chose immigration. It's been top of mind for a lot of folks. And so this is going to be a panel discussion. It's free and open to the public. It is going to include folks who are former ICE directors to immigration attorneys. Sean Smith, Jackson County legislator, is going to be there. So it should be a robust conversation about immigration enforcement in our community, as well as, federal authority versus local. And it should be interesting. April 15th.
April 15th, Medallion Theater, free, 6 p.m. Lauren Magarino, keep up the great work on KCTV5. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. News in a minute. We're back with our caller of the day next.
Coming up at 10 o'clock, it's Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio, right after Pete Mundo and Mundo in the Morning.
We'll get Keatsman in here to wrap up the week, as we do each and every Friday morning on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. So our caller of the day this morning was tied into something that the Chiefs are actually getting behind, and that is making girls flag football an official KSHA-sponsored sport in the state of Kansas. The initiative is called the Let Her Play Initiative. Here's part of what Mark Donovan had to say yesterday, talking to local media.
Let Her Play is really a campaign around giving girls the opportunity to play this great sport of football and play it in flag. It's something we've been working on for over 6 years, developing pilot programs, creating flag leagues, and we've got thousands and thousands of girls playing flag football. I don't think there's a good understanding right now in the Kansas market, in this market, about how big flag football is today and how big it's going to be. There are over 20 million people playing flag football worldwide right now. Over 500,000 girls, 6 to 17, playing flag football. And right now, a girl in Kansas can't play for a state championship and can't play organized high school flag football.
So, I mean, this is great. It's, to me, a no-brainer. I don't know why you would be against something like this. Some of you called in this morning and claimed that it would be another reason for property taxes to go up because the schools would say we need more money for this. That's on the schools. We should not punish kids because the schools are foolish and don't know how to be wise with the money that they've been given, which is obviously millions and millions of dollars. And the conversation led to our caller of the day.
Hello? It's the Mundo in the Morning Caller of the Day on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Matt's in Olathe. What's up, Matt?
Hi there. Yeah, I've got a daughter, Phoebe, at Olathe South, and we've got a flag football team there at Olathe South, but it's not ASHA regulated. She was a starting freshman guard for Olathe South this varsity year, and also she was the starting quarterback for the Olathe South girls flag football team. But we're hoping that this next year that it will be ASHA regulated. For your point, that she could be able to play for a state championship, have more college scholarship opportunities than just basketball, but we're pretty excited about the prospect. I'd love to get on board with this.
So what, with it not being KSHA regulated right now, what does that mean? Like, what is it? Just they don't keep standings and have state championships, and they just play games, or is there something else that it means?
Correct, yeah. So it's not an official KSHA sport, so it's almost like a rec league, but there were many different Olathe schools, different Blue Valley, or I don't think Blue Valley, but different high schools around the area that we would play. So we were officially playing other high schools, but it was not KSHA regulated to where we could actually play for the state championship. I think Olathe East actually has some flag football fields that we played most of our games on.
Were there, obviously you had officials though through the schools, right?
Yes, there were officials. They looked like they were just kind of all figuring it out as well.
Gotcha.
But, hopefully we can get this thing a little bit more tuned up there and have this be a little bit more legit. More opportunity for the girls. My girl loves it, and she can knock a 40-yard pass down the field and hit a girl in stride. So
that's big time. So what are the college opportunities like right now? I mean, I know you're early in the process, but what are you hearing?
I want to know more about it. It was kind of something we stumbled into at the last minute, where the assistant football or basketball coach saw my daughter throw a basketball down the court and nail a girl for a layup, and hey, you know what? We got a little rec flag football team that could be something, and next year it might be KSHA. Why don't you see if you can come and try out and maybe even be the quarterback? And it worked out great for Phoebe.
That's fantastic. Well, shout out to Phoebe there, Matt. That's awesome, and I'm hoping this thing's going to pass here in a couple of weeks for you and for many others.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it, Pete. Thanks, brother. Have a great day. God bless.
There you go. I love it from Matt and Olathe, our caller of the day.
I'm looking here at flag football flags. They were anywhere from maybe $10 to $20 a belt. Dix has got them for $20. How many flags could you buy with a six-figure salary?
Well, if you ask the superintendents around Johnson County, they'll tell you that adding girls flag football is at least $1 million a year proposition. I mean, that's just how it goes. I mean, if cell phone bans are going to cost Blue Valley $4 million, flag football's got to be at least $1 million, at least. you got to pay a markup on those flags. $20 turns into $2,000 pretty fast,
Walmart's got a set of a dozen replacement flags. Assuming you got the belt, you can get those for $9.28.
How about
dozen.
you go on Facebook Marketplace? Even better, right? Just ridiculous.
We used to run around the neighborhood with tube socks tucked in our pockets when we decided to play flag.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Got to get the right footballs too, the right inflation.
I know. I get it. But they'll find any reason to be like, we're poor in Blue Valley. We don't have any money in this school district. Oh, we can't afford this. Just shut up. It's exhausting. It's really exhausting. A story that I think is about to pop is this FBI story in Kansas City. They are investigating Rihanna Park Shaw and her husband, Michael Shaw, who's the director of public works. She's the mayor pro tem. She wants to be the mayor after Quentin Lucas. Fox 4, Malik Jackson from downtown had an update on his story yesterday. Here is what he reported on Fox.
But through multiple sources and after hearing an interview that the FBI conducted within just the last 2 weeks, we now know the probe has expanded, with agents now looking directly into, in the words of the FBI agent, pay for play. One source tells us the agent emphasized a need to move fast to preserve evidence, a telltale sign for Greg Watt, a former state prosecutor and current federal defense attorney.
Yeah, if they're moving this fast and they've indicated over the air that they are moving with intent, this is something that they are not letting grass grow under their feet. If I were a betting man, I think we're going to see some charges in a matter of weeks.
That is wild. Charges in a matter of weeks. Potentially coming in Kansas City, tied to an FBI probe around the mayor pro tem and her husband, who's the director of public works. It's always been a strange relationship, not just a sitting city council member, but the mayor pro tem, who's basically the vice mayor, if you want to view it like that. Her husband's the director of public works. That means she's voting on his salary. She's voting on his budget. It's incestual. But, like so many things in Kansas City, we've just kind of whistled past the graveyard and people know it's wrong, but no one ever does anything about it. But now, if you're talking about allegations of campaign donations potentially being tied to who gets what contracts around Kansas City and public works, boy, that is stinking to high heaven. And you know what? You got to wonder how deep it goes and who knows what. It's just something to watch. And if you want to tie it into a bigger story, could this impact the Royals? Could it be slowing down the Royals and what their next move might be? And whether or not this FBI investigation into City Hall could have some tie into a holdup for the Royals going downtown. I do not have anything concrete on that. I'm just wondering if there could be a tie-in or the Royals are maybe a little nervous. If the FBI is sniffing around City Hall, you tell me if that's something you want to be involved with if you're the Royals right now. How deep does that go? Same thing with like Gwen Grant of the Urban League retiring in the last couple of weeks. Is that a coincidence or is that something that ties into, some type of FBI investigation? I don't know. I'm not saying it does. I'm just, once again, speculating on the possibility, which I think is fair to do. Because for the most part, Kansas City is not that big in the sense that it's the same group of grifters all the time, and it has been for years. It's what it is. Everyone knows who they are. It's the same group. It's the same organizations. And if you have this going on right now at City Hall with the FBI, there might be more people that know something than we're led to believe at this point in time. We'll see. Keatsman wraps up the week with us coming up next.
Vince Colonnese here, and I'm coming up at 11 after Kevin Keatsman on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Well, Kevin Keatsman got to sleep in a little bit today, but that's because, he wanted to sleep in a little bit today, and he had his podcast last night, and he's not pulling a Carter Jensen here, oversleeping, most importantly.
Man, this alarm clock thing's amazing to me. You set 4 alarms?
Yes.
Aren't you admitting defeat?
Maybe, but here's the thing. No, I'm not admitting defeat. I'm winning because I've never overslept. I've never missed a show.
Do you wake
knock
up?
on wood.
Do you wake up in the night worried about it?
No.
Okay, so you sleep through. If I
Correct.
set more than one alarm, I'd be up all night worried about it. I'm like, I'm panicked now.
Oh,
like I'm too
okay.
worried about this thing.
Yeah. I could see that. But it's like anything else. When it's part of your routine, it doesn't freak you out anymore.
The only time I've ever had a problem is, on the iPhone, you set your alarm. That's what I use my phone.
Yeah.
And I'll put 5 a.m. and accidentally it's 5 p.m. And then it doesn't go off and now I'm in trouble. But my dog gets up and stirs around. The most I could oversleep, he's going to start doing something by 6:15.
Okay.
So I'm going to be okay either way.
You're going to be all right. But
he eats at 6:30.
Yeah.
We're not getting past that alarm clock.
That happened to me one time, too. I think it was the second week that I worked with Pete here. I had my alarm set to PM, but my brain woke me up at 5:40, so I was able to drive over here quickly and get here before the show.
And I have no memory of it, so it means it didn't bother me one bit. And you're still here 5 years later, Mark, so it's fine. But here's the thing. Like, I have that alarm set in the iPhone where it's there every weekday. And then I add the alarms after the fact. So that thing, I don't have to touch it any day.
Manually every day?
Yes.
So you're thinking about it right before you go to bed.
And I double check it,
and
too.
that doesn't keep you awake.
No, I crash, man. I get it
awesome.
from my dad. I just fall asleep within 2 minutes of my head hitting the pillow. I mean, I'm done. I'm out.
Wait till you get up two times a night to pee.
Well, they're there this weekend, and I heard someone getting up at about 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what's that? Oh, okay.
How
that's
loud's
right.
your alarm? Does it bother Kate?
No, I set it so it's a nice, calm. It slowly gets louder. It's one of those alarms.
Yeah.
It starts low and then it gets louder. But I hear it and I'm up and I'm done. So it's quick.
I'll out Jessica right now. There's not an alarm that could wake her. And I'm not kidding you. Last weekend there was a day she slept 12 hours.
Really?
That girl can sleep.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
That's
it's crazy.
blessing.
So I start going to bed earlier and earlier when I started doing this because the podcast became earlier every morning. And sometimes we're lights out at 9:15, 9:30. She's got no problem with that. She goes to sleep, but then, like on a regular night, if she's not working or doing something the next day, she'll get like 10, 11 hours on a weeknight. I'm like, my goodness, that's unbelievable.
I don't know what I would feel like after 10 hours of sleep.
I think I'd be tired all
Yeah,
day.
I think so too. So Carter Jensen of the Royals, the guy slept through his alarm yesterday, and clearly, I mean, first off, the New York Post picked this up. This has gotten a lot of attention. Players were not happy, right?
They shouldn't be.
They shouldn't be. Is there any fallout from this, or is this just a learning experience?
Well, I think it's awkward for him now. I think he's going to have an awkward week or two because there's no explaining it to guys who've never done this.
Yeah.
Okay? It's a 1:10 baseball game.
I know.
Okay? This is not, hey, we're playing at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Or the charter flight, we're not leaving tonight. We're going to leave at 5 a.m. We need you at KCI at 5 a.m. or something like that. That's not what this was. This was, we have a 1 o'clock baseball game.
Yeah.
He's 23.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we know is he's immature.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that happens. That happens in sports. Your kids aren't that age yet. John's been through it. I've been through it. Kids don't really mature at that age. I probably wasn't all that mature at 23, but I don't remember oversleeping for like work or a job interview or things like that. If he just said, look, I botched my alarm, I think people could maybe deal with that a little bit more. But how late did he sleep? What time did he get there? It's like,
when did he get? I mean, what do you have to be there at? Maybe 10, 9:30? I don't know.
Well, they overdo the pregame thing. Like Salvi apparently knew, or 90 minutes before the game, which is 11:40, Salvi's preparing to be a DH and not catch. And so sometime after that, they're like, Carter isn't here. You're going to have to catch today. We're scratching him from the lineup because he's not here and we don't know. So let's start prepping, get with the pitcher, do whatever. It was also unique because it was a catcher. It's also unique because the catcher's a Hall of Famer. It's also unique because the catcher's big and injury prone
and 36
and played in the rain the night before until 11 o'clock or whatever. And he's 36 years old. You just don't do that to Salvi.
Yeah. It's a really bad look. It's a really bad look.
I was shocked when they were up 12-1. They didn't take him out in the sixth inning. Like, I thought they would have given him more rest that night. Not that it matters for the alarm clock.
Well, that was them protecting Carter Jensen for playing at 1 o'clock the next day.
Yeah.
Tonight's Salvi's night. He's going to finish. DH is like a day off. They will eat differently that morning. They will prepare for a game differently. He's like, hey, I'm just DHing today. I don't have to have the carbs or whatever your diet and regimen is. He's like, a DH day for me. So that's a good deal. He might have gone home the night before and had a big meal.
Yeah.
At midnight, he might have eaten something and said, I'm just DHing tomorrow. It does change things. Now, these sound really small to people that work important jobs like, brain surgeons and stuff. But if you're a professional baseball player, if you're as great as Salvador Perez has been in his career, there's a reason you do everything every day. And the ball players have to be there. This is no surprise. My wife pointed out to me on Instagram, they were making fun of him in spring training. He has 7 alarms. They did a deal. The Royals did a deal where they say, how many alarms do you have? Because they practice early out there. Most of the players come through 1. Someone will go 1 and a backup. And then Jensen comes along and goes 8. And they're like, this is a thing. They knew about this. This was not a surprise. This guy's got a sleep problem. I don't know if he's insomniac. They haven't said he stays up all night. I don't know. But he's got a problem.
That is just wild. How was opening day, by the way?
It was awesome.
Yeah?
I don't think I've ever been as a fan.
Really?
Yeah. I've been to 30 of them, but I must have worked all of them. And I don't remember going out there. We had a great time. We had a big pregame tailgate with some former players and a charity thing that was going on. And we bought nosebleeds, like the worst seats in the house. We never even went up there. We walked around all day and just had the greatest day. It was fun. It was a beautiful day.
There's something about opening day that just kind of brings out the kid in you. You know, you just kind of feel like back when you were 9, 10, 12 years old, and an opening day for your team. There's nothing like it in sports in terms of that feeling.
It's like daylight savings. It is. It's like, hey, daylight savings is here. It's that time of year.
For you.
Baseball opening day and daylight savings are the same thing. Summer's here, baby. The good time of year is here.
Well, next week, this is the calm before the storm. Final Four is great, but Masters week, there's nothing like it.
Jessica says, it's going to rain here all next weekend. I said, better here than Augusta.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yes.
I said, what? No, I don't want any rain in Augusta.
I know.
No Tiger, no Phil, no problem. Doesn't bother me a lick.
I agree. The course is the star.
Yeah, and the champion is the star.
Yes.
Go beat that thing and score low and beat everybody else, and don't barf down your neck on Sunday afternoon at 2:30, because that's when it starts. The last 9 holes. The epic choke jobs at the Masters through the years is just the most dramatic sports television you can watch.
I agree. We'll have to, Mark, you got to figure out some kind of bet for that thing next week, all right?
I know. I think FanDuel is going to be doing a special profit boost with it. Or some sort
very
of.
nice. Yeah. I'm ready.
We'll
be following. It's going to be great. You got a Final Four pick you like this weekend?
I think Michigan's looked like the best team in the tournament to me. And I didn't watch them much all year.
Yeah.
But when I watch them in this tournament, when they turn it on, they're unbeatable. I hate the fact that they don't. I think they should reseed the Final Four.
Okay, I'm with you there.
I think they should reseed it.
20 seconds.
I don't think Arizona and Michigan should be playing each other.
Well,
in the semis.
that's the championship game.
Right.
We agree.
Well, maybe unless somebody gets hurt or weird things happen in sports. But I don't think that. I think they should reseed the Final Four every year.
Those are the 2 best teams left, though.
No
Arizona,
doubt.
Michigan.
No
All
doubt.
right, that'd be interesting. Hey, enjoy the sports. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, buddy.
Kevin Keatsman, Uncanceled, is coming up next on KCMO Talk Radio.